Chapter 2585. However, after exchanging a dozen blows with Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming was depressed to find that he was no match for Xian Yanqing and was completely crushed. Xian Yanqing's divine power was strong, condensed, and indestructible. Its power was shocking and unfathomable. I'm done. After exchanging a dozen blows, Lu Ming retreated and gave up. You're done? Then I'm going to take back what you've taken advantage of me. In a flash, Xian Yanqing appeared in front of Lu Ming and pressed her red lips against Lu Ming's. Lu Ming took the opportunity to grab Xian Yanqing's slender waist and pulled Xian Yanqing into his arms. His hands were already climbing up Xian Yanqing's breasts and fondling them wantonly. After a while the two of them separated. You're really lucky, Xian Yanqing said with a slightly red face. Haha, we're already an old married couple. Don't be shy. Lu Ming laughed. Then hand in hand they strolled on the grassland. Shaoqing, is the divine power you're cultivating a divine-grade divine power? Lu Ming asked. After being here for a few months, Lu Ming had looked for Tong Shi to borrow some books to read. They were all general knowledge of the primitive universe. Lu Ming had learned a lot about the primitive universe, including cultivation. The divine power cultivated by the martial god realm was divided into different grades. The divine power cultivated by ordinary people was just ordinary divine power. Some geniuses cultivated divine power that was more powerful and condensed than ordinary divine power. It had different mysteries. This kind of divine power was called king-grade divine power. Above king-grade divine power, there was an even higher grade of divine power called divine-grade divine power. Those who could control divine power were all peerless geniuses that were 1 in a billion. Every one of them had amazing combat power and it was easy for them to challenge those of a higher level. Lu Ming suspected that the godly power Xian Yanqing cultivated was saint godly power. Of course, above the saint grade divine 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 powers were even rarer. Every type of divine grade divine power had endless uses. Every person who could control a divine grade divine power was a genius among geniuses, unparalleled in this world. For example, when Lu Ming broke through to the martial god realm, the path of ruler would transform into ruler god energy, which was a kind of divine grade god energy. The martial art I practice and my physique are quite unique. Below the martial god realm, I'm still in the process of establishing my foundation. Once I break through to the martial god realm, I'll undergo a transformation and grow stronger rapidly. I'm currently at the sacred god force, but I'll still grow stronger in the future. I might even surpass your ruler god force by then. Xian Yanqing explained with a smile. Alright then, I'll rely on you to protect me from now on, Lu Ming said with a smile. The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked. After a while they returned to their residence. After returning to his room, Lu Ming sat down with his legs crossed. It's about time for me to break through, Lu Ming muttered. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of a 2-star heavenly emperor and he could break through to a 3-star heavenly emperor now. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals on him and began to cultivate. The power of the world and ruler god energy in his body circulated rapidly as Lu Ming began to break through to the next level. Bam! Bam! Pieces of divine crystals exploded and turned into divine chi that was absorbed by Lu Ming. At the same time, the divine chi in the heavens and earth surged toward Lu Ming. Rumble. The power of the world in Lu Ming's body became stronger and stronger. However, the ratio of the power of the world was slowly increasing. Breaking through with divine crystals was much faster than in the heaven realm. In just a few days, a powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. His cultivation had broken through to become a 3-star heavenly emperor. His strength had also increased by a level. With my current combat strength, if I activate the battle word tactic to double my combat strength, I should be able to fight with a 3-level void god realm. Lu Ming estimated his own combat strength. When he was a 2-star Heavenly Emperor before activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, his combat strength was still a little lacking compared to a 3-level Void God realm. Slightly inferior. Because the gap between each level of the Void God realm was greater than the Heavenly Emperor realm. Now that he had broken through to a 3-star Heavenly Emperor, without activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level Void God realm existence and even defeat the other party. After activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level Void God realm existence. Of course, the opponents he was referring to were those who had mastered ordinary divine powers. It was naturally difficult for those who had mastered royal divine powers and above to do so. However, there aren't many divine crystals left. Lu Ming sighed. He originally had 5,000 divine crystals. Previously he had used 2,000 for Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, leaving him with 3,000. When he had broken through to a 3-star Heavenly Emperor, he had used more than 2,000 divine crystals. He was only left with a few hundred divine crystals. He suddenly felt very poor and was under great pressure. Now he had a big family to feed. His son, granddaughter, parents, and disciples all needed resources for their cultivation. Now their cultivation was not particularly high. The remaining supreme-grade origin stones and divine stones on him were enough for their use. Moreover, the cultivation environment here was very good and he did not need divine crystals for the time being. However, as his cultivation increased, he would definitely need divine crystals in the future. How could Lu Ming not prepare some divine crystals on him? Moreover, he needed a large amount of divine crystals for his own cultivation. Otherwise, he would not have any resources for his next breakthrough. How can I earn some divine crystals? Lu Ming could not help but think about this problem. Previously, when Xian Yanqing and the others had broken through, the ancestor of technique had already taken out 10,000 divine crystals. Now, he naturally could not be thick-skinned enough to ask the ancestor of technique for divine crystals. The ancestor of technique was already good enough for them. Let's go out and see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn divine crystals. Thinking of this, Lu Ming walked out of the room and flew in the direction of the righteous army. Lu Ming had just arrived at the righteous army when he heard someone call out to him. Miss Shear. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, why are you free to come to the righteous army today? Tong Shear smiled. I wanted to see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn me some divine crystals. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Earn divine crystals? Why don't you go to 10,000 Gold Star and hunt down desolate beasts there and obtain their cores? You can sell them for a lot of divine crystals. Tong Shear said. How should we go to 10,000 Gold Star? Lu Ming asked. I happen to want to go to 10,000 Gold Star to hunt desolate beasts. Let's go together. However, the two of us are a little short. I originally wanted to go to the Righteous Army's mission hall to find a few more people. Tong Shear said. I'll go find 2 people. Lu Ming said. He thought of Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Alright, I'll go rent a space battleship. We'll meet here tomorrow. Tong Shear said. Chapter 2586. Rent an interstellar battleship? Lu Ming was taken aback. That's right. Wanjingxing isn't a planet occupied by the Righteous Army. This planet is very special. It's completely made of various metals. The desolate beasts on it are also made of metal. Furthermore, this planet isn't occupied by any faction. Many factions can go there to hunt desolate beasts. Therefore, our Righteous Army doesn't have a teleportation array that leads directly to Wanjingxing. We can only teleport to a location closest to Wanjingxing and then fly there on an interstellar battleship. Tong Shi explained. Then the cost of renting an interstellar battleship isn't low, right? Lu Ming said. Renting it once costs 1,000 deity crystals. Tong Shi said. 1,000 deity crystals. Lu Ming was shocked. This price was really shockingly expensive. There's no other way. Interstellar battleships are too precious. Our Righteous Army only has a dozen or so interstellar battleships. Moreover, they are all of the lowest grade. They can't fly too far. Flying in space for a year is the limit. Any further and we won't be able to. Moreover, every time an interstellar battleship travels across space, it needs to be maintained. Therefore, the price charged is naturally expensive. It is said that some of the major forces have even higher grade starships, and the rental fee is even higher. However, those starships are not only faster, but they can also fly a longer distance in the starry sky for a longer period of time. Tong Shi explained. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. It seemed like he still didn't know enough about the primitive universe. Miss Shi, can you pay for the rental of the interstellar battleship first? When I earn more deity crystals, I'll pay you back, Lu Ming said with a red face. He was really poor and couldn't take out so many deity crystals. It's fine. Tong Shi smiled faintly and bid farewell to Lu Ming. Lu Ming returned to his residence and found Xian Yanqing. He told Xian Yanqing about this matter and Xian Yanqing agreed. Then the two of them went to find Xian Yanjuan. Alright, I'll go with you. Xian Yanjuan readily agreed. In fact, Xian Yanjuan was also in dire need of divine crystals for cultivation. Hunting desolate beasts to earn divine crystals was exactly what she wanted. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan arrived at the place where they had agreed to meet Tong Shi yesterday. Tong Shi was already waiting there. What beautiful women. Tong Shi looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan with amazement in her eyes. Let's go. Tong Shi took the lead. Soon they arrived at the Righteous Sky Army's interstellar teleportation formation. The teleportation array in the primitive universe looked similar to the teleportation array in the primordial realm in the heaven realm. After they stepped into the teleportation array, they felt dizzy and disappeared from the teleportation array. The distance to Wanjingxing wasn't close. Along the way they would need to switch to another transmission array to reach the nearest planet to Wanjingxing, planet Tianguang. After 3 transfers they arrived at planet Tianguang. Planet Tianguang was the planet closest to Wanjingxing among the planets occupied by the Righteous Sky Army. After arriving at planet Tianguang, Tong Shi took out her interstellar battleship. After the 4 of them entered the interstellar battleship tore through the sky and flew towards Wanjingxing. The interstellar battleship would take a month to reach Wanjingxing. The 4 of them cultivated as they waited. A month later, a huge planet appeared in front of them. In terms of size, this planet was far smaller than the Righteous Sky Star or the Dark Underworld Star. However, it was very special. From afar, it looked like a huge gemstone floating in the cosmos, shining brightly. According to Tong Shi's introduction, most of the materials on Wanjingxing were all kinds of strange metals. Even the living beings on it weren't made of flesh and blood, but of metal. The desolate beasts on it were the same. And the beast cores condensed in the bodies of these desolate beasts were a precious material for refining artifacts. The higher the level and the higher the cultivation of the desolate beast, the more precious and expensive the beast core condensed. This attracted many experts from various factions to hunt desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. Rumble. The interstellar battleship entered Wanjingxing's atmosphere. The friction with the atmosphere produced a loud rumbling sound. At this moment, the 4 of them exited the interstellar battleship and stood high in the sky. The interstellar battleship quickly shrank and was put away by Tong Shi. Let's go down. This wasn't Tong Shi's first time here. She took the lead and flew down. Below them was a boundless forest. It's indeed all metal. As they approached the forest, Lu Ming was secretly amazed. The trees and all kinds of vegetation here were actually made of all kinds of strange metals. Lu Ming saw iron trees, silver flowers and golden fruits. Of course, these ordinary metals were of no use to them, so they ignored them. The vast thousand realms really have all kinds of strange things. Lu Ming sighed. The vast thousand realms in the primitive universe were indeed more wonderful than the small thousand realms. The entire planet was made of all kinds of metals. The plants and living beings on it were all made of metal. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Legend had it that in the vast cosmos, there were even more wonderful planets. Some were even beyond imagination. As they approached the forest, Tong Shi slowed down. We have to be careful in Wanjingxing. Not only are the desolate beasts dangerous, but the experts from other factions are even more dangerous, Tong Shi said. Lu Ming nodded. He understood that many factions would come here to hunt desolate beasts. There were probably many experts on Wanjingxing. It was very normal for the experts from different factions to hunt people from other factions and snatch their beast cores. The 4 of them landed in the forest. They concealed their auras and ran forward slowly. Suddenly there was a roar in front of them. Then there was a flash of silver light. They saw a huge figure rushing towards them. Retreat. The 4 of them retreated quickly. Boom. The earth rumbled. The metal on the ground exploded and splattered everywhere. A huge creature appeared where Lu Ming and the others were standing. It was a huge ape. It was more than 30 meters tall and its body was silver white as if it was made of silver. Even the hair on its skin looked like silver needles. The huge silver ape roared angrily. Its silver eyes emitted a cold luster. It charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Its fist, which was the size of a small house, blasted towards Lu Ming and the others with a terrifying whistling sound. "Let me deal with it." Lu Ming rushed over. He circulated his power of sovereign and punched out. Dong. There was a dull roar. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. He couldn't help but retreat. However, the huge ape also retreated a few steps. The ground under its feet kept exploding. What a terrifying force. What a hard fist. There was a gleam in Lu Ming's eyes. Chapter 2587. The giant ape was shockingly powerful. Its entire body was made up of metal and was extremely sturdy. Regardless of its defense or strength, it was extremely terrifying, surpassing other living beings of the same level. The giant ape was at level 2 empty god realm, but it was stronger than the other level 2 empty gods that Lu Ming had encountered before. The giant ape retreated and let out a furious roar. It then charged towards Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming took out his sacred weapon combat sword and charged towards the giant ape. Da. Da. Lu Ming's combat sword clashed with the giant silver ape continuously. In the blink of an eye they had exchanged more than 10 blows. Sparks flew everywhere as the two of them clashed. The giant silver ape was ultimately no match for Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming did not activate the battle formula to double his fighting strength, he could still suppress the giant silver ape with the battle formula, his cultivation as a 3-star heavenly emperor, physical strength, etc. The giant silver ape retreated continuously. Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Tong Shi'er did not attack. They formed a circle and stood at the side, guarding their surroundings. They were afraid that other experts or wild beasts would sneak up on them. Da. 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 Lu Ming and the giant silver ape exchanged more than 10 blows. Finally, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and beheaded the giant silver ape. Phew! Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. The giant silver ape was really hard to kill. Luckily, the giant silver ape does not have much intelligence. Otherwise, it would be even harder to deal with. Lu Ming sighed. It is said that in the chaotic universe, there are metal life forms with intelligence. They are an extremely powerful race. Among the countless races in the chaotic universe, they are ranked at the top. Tong Shi'er said. There really are metal life forms with intelligence. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. Afterward, Lu Ming broke open the giant silver ape's chest and took out a round piece of metal from inside. This was the giant silver ape's beast core. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core could be exchanged for 10 divine gems. An ordinary level 1 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 5 divine gems. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 10 divine gems and a level 3 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 20 divine gems. As the level of the beast core increased, its value also increased. As long as he could kill 100 level 2 empty god realm wild beasts, he would be able to recoup the rent of the space battleship. The rest would be earned. Let's gather the beast cores together first and then divide them equally, Lu Ming suggested. All right. Tong Shi'er nodded. Then the group continued forward. Not long after they left, 2 figures flashed and 2 middle-aged men appeared in the air. It's Tong Shi'er, the genius of the righteous army. Tong Shi'er. Haha, I didn't expect Tong Shi'er to dare to come here, and there are 2 other girls as well. Be real. Let's go back and report to His Excellency and ask him to send experts to capture these people. When the time comes, we'll play with them a little before killing them. Go! In a flash, the 2 middle-aged men disappeared from the place. Lu Ming and the group continued forward. After a while, they encountered a level 1 empty god realm wild beast, which was easily killed by Tong Shi'er. Lu Ming could see that Tong Shi'er's cultivation had reached the peak of level 1 empty god realm and she was not far from level 2 empty god realm. Moreover, her combat strength was shocking, far surpassing experts of the same level. Back then, when Lu Ming was a level 2 heavenly emperor, he had activated the battle word incantation to double his combat strength. However, he was only able to fight Tong Shi'er to a draw. Now Lu Ming knew that Tong Shi'er possessed king-grade divine power and was a genius. As they went deeper into the forest, they encountered more and more wild beasts. However, most of them were level 1 and level 2 empty god realm beasts. As long as there were not many of them, they were easily killed. Not long after, they had killed 15 level 1 empty god realm wild beasts and 5 level 2 empty god realm wild beasts. Dong. Dong. Suddenly the ground shook. A few huge wolves that were as black as ink dashed out from a canyon in front of them. These huge wolves were as though they were made of black iron. They were 10 meters tall and 20 meters long and exuded a terrifying aura. Oh no, there are two level 3 empty God Realm beasts. Tong Shier's face changed drastically. There were a total of 4 huge wolves. 2 of them were level 3 empty God Realm beasts and the other 2 were level 2 empty God Realm beasts. Let's retreat and charge out. Tong Shier shouted. If there was only one level 3 empty God Realm beast, they could still fight if they joined forces. However, they were in danger if there were 2 level 3 empty God Realm beasts and 2 level 2 empty God Realm beasts. No need, we can fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He had not given his all. Moreover, he knew Xian Yanqing's combat strength very well. It was easy for him to deal with a level 3 empty God Realm beast. Moreover, Xian Yanjuan's strength was definitely not weaker than Xian Yanqing's. Fight? Lu Ming, have you broken through? Tong Shier was stunned. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Alright, let's fight. Tong Shier gritted her teeth and said. Before Lu Ming had broken through, his combat strength was not weaker than hers. Now that he had broken through, it should not be a problem for him to deal with a level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf. She might be able to fight if she tried her best to hold back a huge wolf. However, just as she finished speaking, Xian Yanjuan charged out towards a level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf. Oh no! Tong Shier's face changed. She felt that Xian Yanjuan was too impulsive. Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was only at level 1 empty God Realm. No matter how powerful he was at most on par with her. It was too dangerous for him to charge out like that. However, before she could stop him, Xian Yanjuan had already attacked. Her body emitted a holy light. She clenched her fist and a holy light sword was formed. She then slashed down. A level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf roared and charged towards Xian Yanjuan. Its huge claws slapped down and a terrifying hurricane was formed. However, when the sword radiance in Xian Yanjuan's hand collided with the huge wolf's claws, the result was unexpected. Bam! The huge wolf howled and retreated. There was a deep sword mark on its metal claws and it had almost cut off its claws. So powerful? Tong Shier was dumbfounded. Swoosh! Xian Yanjuan gained the upper hand with this one move. Her figure fluttered and she once again attacked the giant wolf. Her sword flashed and in the blink of an eye she slashed out 12 times. Each strike was faster and stronger than the last, forcing the giant wolf to retreat again and again. On its metallic body, there were many deep sword marks. Brr, brr, brr. The other 3 huge wolves roared and charged towards Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanqing moved and charged towards another level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf. He struck out his palm and forced the huge wolf to retreat. Lu Ming shouted softly. In a flash, he charged toward the 2 giant wolves at the second level of the Void God Realm. Tong Shier woke up from her daze and charged out as well. Xian Yanjuan and Xian Yanqing's combat strength completely suppressed the level 3 empty God Realm huge wolves. Within a few moves, the 2 huge wolves were killed. Chapter 2588. After Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had killed the 2 level 3 empty God Realm huge metal wolves, their bodies swayed and their long swords swept across the sky. The 2 level 2 empty God Realm huge wolves that were fighting with Lu Ming and Xian Yanjuan were also split into 2. Their combat strength is so strong? Tong Shier looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan in shock. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan were only level 1 empty God Realm cultivators, which was the same as her. She had thought that even if the 2 of them were strong they could not be that strong. However, she realized that she was wrong. She estimated that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's combat strength was enough to fight with a level 4 empty God Realm cultivator. They were only level 1 empty God Realm cultivators but they could fight with a level 4 empty God Realm cultivator. Divine power. They must have mastered divine power. Tong Shier exclaimed. At the same time she sighed. Lu Ming was already strong enough. She had not expected the people around him to be so strong as well. Lu Ming smiled. With Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan helping him, he was happy and relaxed. After that, they took out the beast cores of the 4 huge wolves. The beast cores of the 4 huge wolves were worth 60 divine gems. They were not cheap. After taking out the beast cores they continued to move forward. There were no strong wild beasts in the forest. After walking for a while, they did not meet any level 4 empty God Realm cultivators. The strongest one was level 3 empty God Realm cultivators. With Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan around, he and Tong Shier had an easy time. Shao Qing and Xian Yanjuan's combat skills are really amazing. Along the way even Lu Ming was impressed. Lu Ming himself could be considered a natural combat genius. His combat awareness was very strong. However, compared to Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan he was still inferior. Their battle techniques were exquisite to the extreme, and they could often use the least amount of strength to defeat their enemies. Even if his godly power was about the same as theirs, he might not be a match for them. Lu Ming guessed that this might have something to do with their experiences in their previous lives. As time passed, their harvest grew bigger and bigger. Soon they would be able to earn back the 1,000 divine crystals they had spent on renting the Starry Sky battleship. Just as Lu Ming and company were hunting desolate beasts, there was a mountain peak a distance away from them. On one of the mountain peaks, there were a few people gathered. These people all retracted their auras and were very careful. The two burly men who had discovered Lu Ming's trail appeared on the mountain peak and reported to a bald man. "What? The righteous army's Tong Shi-er has come to Wanjingxing?" The bald man's eyes were filled with a cold light. "That's right, and there are only 4 of them." One of them answered. "4? What are their cultivations?" The bald man asked. Tong Shi-er's cultivation is still at level 1 Empty God Realm, and there are 2 other women who are also at level 1 Empty God Realm. The other man has the ability to kill a level 2 Empty God Realm martial artist. One of them bowed and reported. "They are all at level 1 Empty God Realm. Good, good, good. This time we will capture Tong Shi-er and let the young master play with her. Capture the other 2 women for us to enjoy. As for the man, we will kill him. The righteous army dares to go against the Yuanluo Palace. They will die sooner or later." The bald man sneered. These people were from the Yuanluo Palace. "The 3 of you are all at level 3 Empty God Realm. It is more than enough to deal with Tong Shi-er and the others. Go and bring them here." The bald man ordered 3 of the burly men in black armor. "Yes." The 3 burly men in black armor cupped their fists. "Wait." Suddenly the bald man shouted and said, "In order to be absolutely safe, Old Man Shao, go with them." "All right, that will do." An old man with a face full of wrinkles chuckled. Although he felt that 3 level 3 Empty God Realm martial artists were more than enough to deal with a few juniors, he was at level 4 Empty God Realm. However, the bald man was at level 5 Empty God Realm and had the strongest cultivation among them. Thus he could not reject him directly. Old Man Shao and the 3 burly men in black armor left in a flash. The bald man looked at the bottom of a cliff in front of him. There was a cave under the cliff. Golden rays of light shot out from the cave from time to time. There was a bird's nest near the cave. A giant metal eagle was lying in the nest. The bald man looked at the cave with a burning gaze. However, when he saw the giant eagle, his expression turned serious. "Treasure, treasure, I must get it." The greed in the bald man's eyes became even more intense. They were from Yuanluo Hall. Not long ago they had come to Wanjingxing together to hunt wild beasts and obtain beast cores. However, 2 days ago, a few people from Yuanluo Hall had accidentally entered the cave and found a treasure. It was a spiritual metal ball. Just as the people from Yuanluo Hall were about to take the metal ball, the giant metal eagle appeared and killed the people from Yuanluo Hall. Only one of them had luckily escaped and reported the news to him. His heart immediately burned with passion. A metal ball with spirituality was definitely a rare treasure. He immediately brought people here. However, when he saw the giant metal eagle, he stopped. Although he was a level 5 Empty God Realm martial artist, the giant metal eagle was a level 7 Empty God Realm martial artist. If they were to charge forward, they would definitely die. Therefore he led his men to guard the cave. He wanted to wait for the giant metal eagle to leave before he entered the cave and took the spiritual metal ball. Later he heard news about Tong Shi-er, Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others naturally knew nothing about this. They went deep into the forest and hunted wild beasts. Their harvest was getting bigger and bigger. Smiles appeared on their faces. Based on this progress, they only needed to hunt wild beasts in Wanjingxing for a period of time. It wouldn't be a problem for each of them to earn about 10,000 divine gems. Who is it? Just as they were traveling through the forest in search of desolate beasts to kill, Xian Yanjuan's gaze suddenly looked in a certain direction. Then Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's gazes shifted and they looked in that direction. Hee, little girl, your spiritual sense is quite sharp." A cold laugh was heard. Then a figure flashed in that direction and 4 figures appeared. These 4 people were Old Man Shao from Yuanluo Hall and the 3 brawny men in black armor. "You are from Yuanluo Hall." Tong Shi-er's expression suddenly changed. Hee, that's right." Old Man Shao laughed coldly. His narrow eyes swept across Tong Shi-er, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Especially when he looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, his eyes were burning with passion. "Tong Shi-er, a young master Kong Long misses you very much. Take you down and give you to young master. Young master will definitely reward you handsomely." Hee. Old Man Xiao licked his lips as a powerful aura emanated from his body. Level 4 Empty God Realm. Tong Shier's face turned pale. Chapter 2589. Old Man Xiao exuded a powerful rank 4 Empty God Realm aura. At the same time, the 3 burly men in black armor also exuded rank 3 Empty God Realm aura. The terrifying aura was like a violent hurricane that pressed down on Lu Ming and the rest. "Leave this old man to me." At this moment, Xian Yinjuan spoke. A look of disgust flashed across her eyes. Just now, when Old Man Xiao had looked at her with that gaze, she had already made up her mind to kill him. Swoosh. Xian Yinjuan waved her hand and broke through Old Man Xiao's aura suppression. She then stepped towards Old Man Xiao. Old Man Xiao's eyes narrowed. It was not easy for someone to break through his aura. "Little girl, since you are in such a hurry, I will fulfill your wish." Yee. Old Man Xiao laughed. A shriveled hand appeared and grabbed at Xian Yinjuan. A pitch-black hand appeared and grabbed at Xian Yinjuan. Swoosh. Xian Yinjuan's hand was filled with sacred light and it turned into a sacred light sword. With a slash, the sacred light sword sliced Old Man Xiao's hand into two. Following which, the sacred light sword vibrated and turned into sword shadows that enveloped Old Man Xiao. "You?" Old Man Xiao was shocked. Xian Yinjuan's strength was far beyond his imagination. It did not seem like the combat strength of a rank 1 Empty God Realm martial artist. Boom. The divine force in Old Man Xiao's body exploded. A dragon head walking stick appeared in his hand. Like a violent storm, he attacked Xian Yinjuan. However, Xian Yinjuan's sacred light sword vibrated and sword shadows appeared. In an instant, hundreds of sword shadows appeared and slashed at Old Man Xiao from all directions. Every sword shadow seemed to hit Old Man Xiao's weak points. Old Man Xiao's attack was extinguished before it could even reach half of its target. He could only retreat and defend himself. Xian Yinjuan followed up. Sword radiance surged and enveloped Old Man Xiao. Damn it, Old Man Xiao roared. He was so aggrieved that he almost vomited blood. His divine power was definitely not weaker than Xian Yinjuan's. However, he was completely suppressed by Xian Yinjuan during the battle. Xian Yinjuan's sword light completely controlled the situation and the rhythm of the battle. He couldn't display his strength at all. He had never encountered such a situation before. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This level of control. Tong Shi was even more astonished. Xian Yinjuan's control was too strong. He had complete control of the battle. The strength of her divine power was about the same as Old Man Xiao's, but the battle was one-sided. This was the skill and experience of battle. Only with great strength could one achieve this. Xian Yinjuan's age seemed to be about the same as hers, but he was able to control the rhythm of the battle so powerfully. She couldn't help but be amazed. "All of you attack together. Kill her, kill her." Old Man Xiao roared and ordered the 3 black-armored burly men to attack. A long spear appeared in each of the 3 black-armored burly men's hands. They circulated their divine power and were about to attack Xian Yinjuan. "Your opponent is me," Xian Yinqing said coldly. His figure flashed and he also charged out. The sword radiance in his hand slashed out violently, enveloping the 3 black-armored burly men. Clang, clang, clang. After 3 consecutive collisions, the 3 black-armored burly men retreated. "Little Qing, leave one for me." Lu Ming also charged out and continuously used the battle character art. Boom. The battle character art's double combat strength was activated. Lu Ming's combat strength sword. He took out his divine artifact battle sword and slashed at one of the black-armored burly men. Lu Ming hadn't fought with his full strength since his cultivation had broken through. This was a good time to practice with this black-armored burly man. Xian Yinqing withdrew his sword radiance and left one of the black-armored burly men to Lu Ming. Clang. Lu Ming's battle sword slashed at the black-armored burly man. There was a loud explosion and both of them shook. Rank 3 Empty God Realm is indeed powerful. Again. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged forward again, launching a barrage of attacks. Clang, clang. Lu Ming and the black-armored burly man exchanged blows fiercely. On the other hand, Xian Yinqing was dealing with the 2 black-armored burly men. It was a one-sided fight. Xian Yinqing's combat strength was not much weaker than Xian Yinjuan's. It was naturally easy for him to deal with the 2 rank 3 empty gods. Tong Shi stood at the side in a daze. She realized that she couldn't interfere in such a fight and there was no need for her to do so. Poof, poof. After dozens of blows, the 2 black-armored burly men were killed and blood splattered everywhere. How can this be? How can this be? Old Man Xiao was shocked. He couldn't believe it. The cultivation realms of Lu Ming's group were similar to the information that he had received previously. However, their combat strength had nothing to do with their cultivation realms. It was too terrifying. A rank 1 empty god was actually able to suppress him. Divine power, peerless supreme talent, retreat. Old Man Xiao was afraid and wanted to escape. However, he realized that he couldn't escape from Xian Yanjuan's sword radiance. Poof. Old Man Xiao panicked and was even more defeated. Not long after, Xian Yanjuan's sword slashed across his body, leaving a deep wound that almost cut him into two. Xian Yanjuan's terrifying divine power ran amok in Old Man Xiao's body, causing him to vomit blood and his strength to weaken. In this way, Old Man Xiao was no match for Xian Yanjuan. Poof. Within 2 blows, Old Man Xiao's eyes were destroyed by Xian Yanjuan's sword radiance. Old Man Xiao screamed and attacked wildly. "Old man, I'll send you on your way," Xian Yanjuan said coldly. The sword radiance slashed again, and in the next instant, Old Man Xiao's head flew out. A level 4 empty god realm existence was killed. Old Man Xiao's eyes were wide open and he died with remaining grievances. He had never imagined that he, a rank 4 empty god, would die in the hands of a rank 1 empty god. The brawny man who was fighting with Lu Ming was almost scared to death when he saw that the others had been killed. He panicked and Lu Ming seized the opportunity to kill him. At this point, the 4 experts from Yuan Luo Hall were all killed. "My cultivation is still too weak," Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming's shortcoming was his cultivation. His current cultivation was only that of a 3-star heavenly emperor. If his cultivation broke through to the empty god realm, killing these clowns would be a piece of cake. The few of them kept the storage rings of Old Man Xiao and the other 3. It seems that Yuan Luo Hall also has people on the myriad gold star. These 4 people are probably only a part of them, Tong Shier said with a grave expression. "Let's leave this place first. Be careful in the future," Lu Ming said. In a flash, the 4 of them left the place. They did not hunt any wild beasts. They ran for hundreds of thousands of miles before stopping and continuing to hunt wild beasts. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed and they arrived at a mountain peak. "Why aren't there any wild beasts in this area?" Tong Shier whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan nodded. They had patrolled the area and did not encounter any wild beasts. This area was quiet. Chapter 2590. Could this area be the territory of some powerful desolate beast? Xian Yanqing suddenly said. Lu Ming and Tong Shier's expressions changed. This was very likely. Many powerful desolate beasts had the concept of territory. Some powerful desolate beasts would occupy a territory, and other desolate beasts would not dare to stay in this territory. "Let's be careful," Lu Ming said in a low voice. Immediately, they withdrew their auras and wanted to retreat in the direction they had come from. There are many living beings on that mountain. They are not metallic life forms but flesh and blood life forms. At this moment, Xian Yanjuan looked at a mountain peak not far away and said, "Life forms of flesh and blood, then they are just like us, outsiders," Lu Ming said. He did not doubt Xian Yanjuan's senses. Xian Yanjuan had completely awakened the memories of her past life. Her current life had merged with her past life. Her methods were simply unfathomable. "Let's go take a look," Xian Yanqing suggested. Everyone nodded and carefully moved towards another mountain peak. Not long after, they climbed up another mountain peak, found a secluded place and looked ahead. Immediately they saw a group of living beings. There were about 20 of them. Among them, there were living beings with a single horn on their head, snake men, and living beings with scales on their skin. There were at least 6 or 7 races among the 20 people. Some of them wore black battle armor, exactly the same as the 3 black-armored brawny men they had met before. "They are from the Yuan Luo Palace," Tong Shier whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's eyes flashed with cold light. They realized that the Yuan Luo Palace people seemed to be very careful. They hid in the shadows and looked in other directions. They did not notice Lu Ming's group at all. They looked in the direction the people from the Yuan Luo Palace were looking and saw a giant metal eagle at the bottom of a cliff. There was also a cave. From time to time, golden rays of light would spread out from the cave. Could it be that there are treasures in that cave? Lu Ming and the others were all smart people. When they saw this situation, they thought about it and understood what was going on. Clearly there were treasures inside the cave. However, there was a terrifying giant metal eagle guarding outside the cave. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace didn't dare to make a move. They were hiding there, waiting for the giant metal eagle to leave. Then let's be the Oriole. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. The rest nodded as well. After that, they also waited here. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Ka. At this moment, the giant metal eagle cried out. Its body that had been lying on the ground also stood up. Its cold eyes scanned the surroundings. Then, with a flap of its wings, its huge body soared into the sky. Lu Ming and the others hurriedly hid in the shadows. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This giant metal eagle was absolutely terrifying. If he was discovered, he would be done for. Soon, the giant metal eagle soared into the sky and flew into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the people of the Yuan Luo Palace turned into streaks of rainbow light and rushed towards the cliff. What should we do? Tong Xie looked at Lu Ming and the others. There were so many people in the Yuan Luo Palace. There were many experts among them. No matter how strong Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan were, they wouldn't be a match for them. Borrow a knife to kill, no, borrow a bird to kill. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Tong Xie's eyes lit up. At this moment, more than 20 people from the Yuan Luo Palace had rushed to the bottom of the cliff. They left a few people to guard the entrance of the cave while the others rushed into the cave. Wait for me here. Lu Ming's figure flashed and left the mountain. After descending the mountain, Lu Ming took out a battle sword and poured the power of the ruler into it. Whoosh! A shocking sword ray soared into the sky, piercing through the firmament. Even from far away one could see it. Then the sword light slashed violently towards the cave. Damn it! The people guarding the cave were instantly enraged. They all moved to block the sword light. Rumble. Sword chi soared into the sky. Lu Ming turned around and left after slashing with his sword. His goal wasn't to deal with the people of the Yuan Luo Palace, but to cause a commotion and lure the giant eagle back. Now that he had achieved his goal, he naturally left. In the distance, a loud cry resounded through the sky. The giant metal eagle had clearly seen the sword gleam and returned at top speed. Damn it, damn it. Angry roars came from the cave. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace all rushed out of the cave. The leader of the group, the bald man, roared furiously. Who is it? The bald man emitted a cold, murderous aura as he looked at the gatekeepers. It's a youth. One of them said. An ear-piercing cry resounded. A black dot appeared in the distance. The giant eagle had returned. Run! The bald man roared furiously as he ran madly into the distance. He was furious. He had just entered the cave and hadn't even taken the treasure, but someone had already alerted him. The giant eagle had returned. Now he could only run for his life. More than 20 experts of the Yuan Luo Palace ran madly. The ear-piercing sound came closer and closer. The giant metal eagle was too fast. Its wingspan was at least 100 meters wide. It chased after the people of the Yuan Luo Palace like a bolt of lightning. In the distance, a miserable scream sounded, as well as an angry roar, gradually disappearing into the distance. Let's go. Lu Ming's group seized the opportunity and rushed into the cave. There wasn't much time left. They had to seize the opportunity to take the treasure and leave. If the giant eagle returned, they would be in danger. They rushed to the entrance of the cave like 4 rays of light and rushed in without hesitation. There was a tunnel inside the cave that was 100 meters long. They rushed through the tunnel and appeared in a giant cave. They were startled as soon as they rushed into the cave. This cave was overflowing with light and color. There were all kinds of different colored metals shining brilliantly. Moreover, many of the metals were in the shape of plants and had metal flowers blooming. But other than these, there was nothing else. Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed that a part of the wall was slightly different. There was a part of the wall that was slightly different in color. Lu Ming walked over. When Lu Ming walked over, the part of the wall that was different in color actually started to wriggle. It was actually a pool of liquid metal. It was motionless earlier, but now that Lu Ming walked over, it started to move. The golden liquid metal quickly wriggled and turned into a metal ball. With a whoosh, it flew in another direction. A metal ball. The 4 of them were astonished. Could it be that the treasure was this metal ball? Grab it. The 4 of them did not hesitate and rushed toward the metal ball from 4 directions. Chapter 2591. Swoosh, swoosh. The metal ball was extremely fast. It was like a bolt of golden lightning as it flew around the cave. The 4 of them were unable to stop it. Stay here. Lu Ming used his sovereign Dao to cover the area as he tried to grab the metal ball. The metal ball seemed to be afraid as it quickly retreated. Xian Yinjuan was on the other side. She reached out her hand and was about to grab the metal ball. However, the metal ball suddenly expanded and became a large ball with a diameter of a few meters. It collided with Xian Yanjuan's palm. Boom. There was a loud explosion and Xian Yanjuan's body shook as she was pushed back. What a terrifying power. Everyone's hearts trembled. Although Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was only at rank 1 empty god realm, her divine power was strong enough to fight against a rank 4 empty god realm expert. However, she was pushed back by the metal ball. The metal ball was pushed back by Xian Yanjuan and it flew towards Tong Xie. Tong Xie's face changed. She did not have Xian Yanjuan's power. A long sword appeared in her hand and she stabbed it towards the metal ball. However, at that moment, a shocking scene appeared. A big mouth suddenly appeared on the smooth surface of the metal ball. The golden and dazzling metal formed fangs. The mouth opened and bit towards Tong Xie's long sword. There was a cracking sound and Tong Xie's long sword was bitten off. The metal ball swallowed the front part of the sword and started to chew. This, Lu Ming and the others looked at each other. Tong Xie's long sword was a sacred weapon. Although it was only a lower rank 1 sacred weapon, it was extremely hard. However, the metal ball had bitten off her sword and was eating it. How could the metal ball be so powerful? What made them even more speechless was that there was a pair of eyes above the metal ball's mouth. The eyes were squinted and it looked like it was enjoying itself. It was a metal ball that had intelligence. The few of them had the same thought. Treasure, this was definitely a treasure. A lump of metal actually gave birth to intelligence, it was definitely extraordinary. Swoosh, swoosh. Everyone moved again and pounced toward the metal ball. However, the metal ball was very slippery and smart. It seemed to have noticed that Tong Xie was the weakest among the 4 of them, so it charged directly at her. Tong Xie no longer dared to use her divine artifact to attack. She could only circulate her divine power and wrap it around the metal ball. However, the power of the metal ball was extremely shocking. With a single collision, it knocked away Tong Xie's god force. Tong Xie's body trembled as she was knocked away. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Her strength was not enough to fight against this metal ball. However, Lu Ming arrived just in time. He waved his hand and his sovereign power formed a giant hand that grabbed at the metal ball. The metal ball seemed to be extremely fearful of the sovereign's power, and a look of fear appeared in its eyes as it quickly retreated. Lu Ming, this metal ball seems to be afraid of your sovereign power. I'll trap it while you grab it. Xian Yanqing shouted. Her whole body was filled with black light. Numerous black lotuses appeared and pressed down on the metal ball. On the other side, Xian Yanjuan also attacked with all her might. Numerous snow-white lotuses appeared and pressed down on the metal ball. Swoosh. The metal ball charged towards Xian Yanqing and collided with the black lotuses. Bam. Bam. Those lotus flowers kept exploding. However, after they exploded, even more lotus flowers appeared and blocked the metal ball. Lu Ming rushed over and grabbed with both hands. His sovereign power formed a giant net that enveloped the metal ball. The metal ball was directly enveloped by the sovereign power's net. It charged left and right, but strangely, it could not break out of the net formed by the sovereign power. Lu Ming began to shrink the sovereign power and the net became smaller. In the end, the metal ball became obedient and stayed there motionless. Finally, Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball in his hand. So heavy. When Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball, he almost lost his grip and dropped it to the ground. This was extremely shocking. Although all the matter in the primitive universe could not be compared to the Heaven Realm's primordial realm and its mass was many times greater than the Heaven Realm's primordial realm, Lu Ming almost lost his grip on such a metal ball. Its weight was probably more than several mountains. Just as Lu Ming was about to examine it carefully, a sharp thorn suddenly appeared on the metal ball. This thorn was extremely sharp. In an instant, it pierced through the sovereign power covering Lu Ming's hand and pierced through Lu Ming's skin. A stream of blood flowed onto the metal ball. Lu Ming was shocked and almost threw the metal ball away. Fortunately, the metal ball did not continue to move. The stream of blood seeped into the metal ball and disappeared. Streaks of dark red light flashed across the surface of the metal ball before disappearing in a flash. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that the metal ball had become lighter, as if it was weightless. Lu Ming was a little stunned. Lu Ming, it seems that you and it are fated to be together. It has recognized you as its master. Xian Yanjuan walked over and said. There was a trace of envy in his eyes. There were not many things that could make Xian Yanjuan envious. It has recognized me as its master? Lu Ming was also a little stunned. If I'm not wrong, this should be a kind of metal life form bred by the heaven and earth's origin. This kind of metal life form is very rare in the vast primitive universe. It is very precious. Now that it has recognized you as its master, it must be fated to be with you. If you nurture it well in the future, it may become a great help to you, Xian Yanjuan said. On the side, Xian Yanqing showed a look of joy. Tong Xier showed a trace of envy. However, this time she almost did not help. It was completely Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing who caught the metal ball. She could not say anything. Let's go, let's get out of here, Lu Ming said. They did not have much time and could not waste any more time. If the giant eagle returned, they would be in trouble. Immediately, they rushed out of the cave and chose a direction opposite to where the people from Yuanluo Hall had escaped. Soon they disappeared from the place. Not long after Lu Ming and the others left, an ear-piercing screech was heard. The wind whistled and the giant metal eagle returned. It landed at the entrance of the cave and seemed to sense something. Then it let out an angry screech. Caw, caw, caw. The giant metal eagle seemed to have gone mad. It flapped its wings and slashed everything like a blade. Everything that was slashed by its blade-like wings, regardless of whether it was the metal plants or the metal ground, exploded and turned into pieces that flew in all directions. Swoosh. Then it soared into the sky and swooped down, wreaking havoc on the ground. A level 7 empty god realm giant metal eagle was terrifying. Its destructive power was shocking. It went berserk and destroyed everything nearby before gradually flying off into the distance and disappearing from sight. After the giant metal eagle left, a figure flashed and appeared at the entrance of the cave. It was the bald man from Yuanluo Hall. He rushed into the cave, but not long after he rushed out of the cave. Ah, damn it, damn it. Who is it? The bald man roared with a ferocious face. Chapter 2592. The bald man from Yuanluo Hall was infuriated. He understood that they had been cheated miserably. Previously they had more than 20 people. However, they had been chased by the giant metal eagles and almost all of them had died. He was the only one who had survived. Moreover, when he had rushed into the cave, the treasure had disappeared. It was obvious that someone had taken the opportunity to take away the treasures in the cave while the giant eagle was chasing after them. If I find out who it is, I will turn you into ashes and die without a burial place. The bald man roared furiously and left the place in a flash. They ran until they had left the forest and crossed a plain. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they entered the next forest. This guy, Lu Ming realized that the metal ball was lying on his shoulder like a puddle of liquid metal. Lu Ming did not pay much attention to it. He teamed up with Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Tong Xier and started hunting wild beasts for their beast cores. Bam! Bam! 2 giant metal bears appeared in front of them. Their auras were terrifying and they were both level 3 empty god realm existences. This forest was more dangerous than the previous one. They had just entered and they had already encountered 2 level 3 empty god realm existences. Let me do it. Lu Ming dashed over, constantly activating the battle formula at the same time. After a few times, the fight character manual activated the double combat strength. Lu Ming and the 2 giant metal bears engaged in a fierce battle. Only in a big battle could one be honed. Level 3 empty god realm existences were just right for Lu Ming. Brr, brr. The giant metal bears were about 10 meters tall and they had immense strength. When they slapped their paws, there was a whistling sound and a raging wind blew. Lu Ming used his sacred weapon combat sword to block the attack. He slashed out a few times and fought with the giant metal bears. In an instant, the 2 sides were locked in a fierce battle. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan did not take any action and they watched from the side. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming and the 2 metal bears clashed continuously, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. The 2 giant bears were furious, roaring like thunder. The power of the bear paws grew stronger and stronger, causing Lu Ming to feel great pressure. There were a few times when he was almost hit by the bear paws. Yes, that's the feeling. Lu Ming was not surprised. Instead, his eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. The pressure and the sense of danger were the only things that could help him improve faster. Whether it was the Tao of the Sovereign Lord or the battle character incantation, they were both very useful. Kill. Suddenly, Lu Ming let out a long howl and rushed towards a giant bear. The giant bear roared and also sent out a palm strike. Lu Ming's body tilted slightly to the side, avoiding his vitals and allowing the palm to land on him. At the same time, his battle sword slashed towards the giant bear. Bang! Lu Ming's body shook violently as if he had been struck by lightning. However, at the same time, his sword also landed on the enormous bear's chest, leaving behind a deep sword wound on the enormous bear's chest. Brr! The giant bear was enraged and its killing intent grew stronger. It wanted to charge towards Lu Ming, but at this moment, something strange happened. The metal ball that had been lying softly on Lu Ming's shoulder suddenly turned into a rainbow light and rushed over. The metal ball's body turned into a sharp spike and pierced towards the giant bear's chest. Oh! The giant bear's chest was pierced through and a hole appeared. The metal ball flew out of the giant bear's back and turned back into a circle. In the middle of the circle, a mouth full of fangs and eyes appeared. On both sides, liquid metal extended out like two tentacles. On the tentacles was a piece of dazzling metal. This was the beast core of the giant metal bear. Bang! As for the giant bear, it fell straight to the ground, no longer breathing. What made Lu Ming and the others even more flabbergasted was that the metal ball actually swallowed the beast core in one gulp and began to chew it. The remaining giant metal bear roared and actually revealed a terrified expression. It turned and ran. Swish! The metal ball once again turned into a rainbow light and charged towards the giant metal bear. The metal bear's defense was useless against the metal ball. It was directly pierced through by the metal ball, and a hole appeared in its chest. The beast core naturally fell into the metal ball's hands. Crunch! The metal ball stuffed the beast core into its mouth and began to chew it. Its eyes revealed a very human-like expression of enjoyment. This works too. Lu Ming was in a daze. Judging from the aura of the metal ball, it should be at level 1 Empty God Realm. However, the two giant metal bears at level 3 Empty God Realm were powerless against it. It was as if the metal ball could restrain these metal lifeforms. Then Lu Ming's heart ached. The two level 3 Empty God Realm beast cores had been eaten by the metal ball. This was worth 40 divine gems. You can restrain these metal lifeforms? Lu Ming walked over and picked up the metal ball. Crunch! Crunch! The metal ball chewed a few times with its big mouth and revealed a proud expression. It seemed to be saying that this was a given. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Alright, help us hunt the metal beasts in the future. However, you can't eat the beast cores. You have to give them to me. Lu Ming said. Crunch! Crunch! The metal ball chewed a few more times and its entire body was spinning. It was obvious that it was rejecting Su Mo. You don't agree? If you don't agree, I will stuff you into my storage ring and you won't get a single piece. Lu Ming threatened. The metal ball chewed with its big mouth and its eyes revealed a furious expression. Then I will keep you in my storage ring. Lu Ming did not compromise. After a round of bargaining, he finally reached an agreement with the metal ball. Half of the beast cores that the metal ball hunted would be given to Lu Ming and the other half would be left for the metal ball to eat. Each of them would take half. After discussing, they set off. Not long after, they encountered a few more wild beasts. However, after the metal ball took action, these wild beasts were terrified. They were easily killed by the metal ball and their beast cores were taken away. The metal ball passed half of the beast core to Lu Ming. It stuffed the other half into its mouth and started munching on it. Lu Ming and the rest were overjoyed. This way, their efficiency in hunting for beast cores would be greatly increased. Following that, they rampaged through the forest. The speed at which they hunted desolate beasts greatly increased. Lu Ming realized that even if they encountered a level 4 Empty God Realm wild beast, the metal ball could easily kill it. It was just slightly more troublesome. Most of the time, Lu Ming and the rest did not have to do anything. Sometimes, when they met a suitable opponent, Lu Ming would have to stop the metal ball to have a chance to train. In the blink of an eye, they had stayed in the forest for 3 days. In these 3 days they had gained a lot. They had obtained more than 1,000 beast cores from level 1 to level 4 Empty God Realm. If they were to convert them into divine gems, they would be worth more than 20,000 divine gems. It had only been a few days and they had gained a lot. Everyone smiled. Chapter 2593. That day they came to a valley and encountered a nest of metal lizards. There were at least 20 of them and they ranged from level 1 to level 4 Empty God Realm. Swoosh! The metal ball charged out and killed a level 4 Empty God Realm metal lizard. Then it charged towards the other lizards. Leave 2 of them for me. Lu Ming also charged over. His combat sword swept across the sky and blocked 2 level 3 Empty God Realm lizards. They engaged in a fierce battle. In the past few days, he had fought with the metal desolate beasts from time to time. His understanding of the battle character skill had deepened and the chances of activating the battle character skill to double his combat strength had increased. They did not realize that a figure had appeared on a mountain peak far away from them. That person was the bald man from Yuanluo Hall. He had been searching for the past few days and had accidentally come to this place. When he heard the battle, he came over to take a look. As soon as he saw it, his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. It's that treasure? His eyes were fixed on the metal ball. Previously he had rushed into the cave and seen the metal ball. Just as he was about to take the metal ball, the metal eagle had returned and he could only run away in a hurry. Now that he had seen the metal ball, he immediately knew who had tricked him. It was Lu Ming and the rest. Tongxia, it's them. I sent out a few men but they did not kill them. Damn it, I want all of you to die. The bald man's eyes revealed a cold expression as well as a deep sense of greed. The metal ball could easily kill the metal desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. If he could obtain it, he would be rich. He moved his body and dashed toward Lu Ming and the rest silently along the ground. He was very cautious. Although Lu Ming and the rest did not seem to have a high cultivation level, there was a level 4 empty god realm martial artist among the men that he had sent out. However, he had not returned. Therefore he planned to use a sneak attack to kill them first. He was extremely fast and soon he was close to Lu Ming and the rest. Who is it? Xian Yinjuan's eyes suddenly turned in a certain direction. Holy light spread out, forming a battle sword and slashed out. Whoosh! Wherever the sword light passed, the metal trees were split in half. Boom! On the other side, divine force erupted, powerful energy rampaging. A figure rushed into the sky, revealing itself before everyone's eyes. His spiritual perception is so sharp. Furthermore, his divine power is so strong. The bald man from the Yuan Luo Hall was shocked. He had already restrained his aura, but he was still discovered by Xian Yinjuan. At the same time, the power of Xian Yinjuan's sword had shocked him. A level 1 empty god realm martial artist's divine power was not weaker than a level 4 empty god realm martial artist. A monster. The righteous army actually has a monster like this. We must get rid of him. The bald man roared in his heart. It's him. At this moment, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others all recognized the bald man. They had seen him from afar before. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved and dodged the attacks of the two lizards. Then the metal ball rushed over and killed the two lizards. He took out their beast cores and placed them on Lu Ming's shoulder. Tongxi, you guys are still alive. It seems like the person I sent is already dead. The bald man said ferociously. That's right. We killed him. Tongxi said. However, her expression was grave. This bald man gave her a lot of pressure. He was definitely a terrifying expert. Then, you guys were the ones who alerted the giant metal eagle and lured it back to the cave? The bald man sneered, his eyes flashing with a fierce light. Looks like you're not stupid. Lu Ming said coldly. Kid, give me that metal ball. The bald man looked at the metal ball on Lu Ming's shoulder, the greed in his eyes growing. You want it? Come and take it yourself. Lu Ming said. You're digging your own grave. The bald man moved and dashed towards Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Swoosh, swoosh. As soon as the bald man moved, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan moved as well. One black and one white sword radiance covered the bald man. Get lost. A saber appeared in the bald man's hand. Saber radiance flashed and he slashed towards Xian Yanqing and Tong Shi, trying to shake off their sword radiance. Level 5 empty god realm. As soon as the bald burly man made a move, Lu Ming could tell his cultivation level. Level 5 empty god realm was definitely powerful. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan did not dare to go head-on with the bald man. They changed their swords and transformed into more than 10 sword radiances. They avoided the bald man's saber and stabbed towards his vital parts. Get lost. Get lost. The bald man roared and slashed out with his saber. However, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan's combat skills were too powerful. They could avoid him completely but they could still attack his vital parts. The two of them joined forces and their sword radiances flashed continuously. The bald man could not get past them for a while. Bam! At that moment, a cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He took a step forward and dashed towards the bald man. He slashed his sword at the bald man's head. Get lost. The bald man roared and his divine power surged out like a flood. When Lu Ming's saber hit the divine power, it was as though it had hit a mountain. Boom. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him and he could not help but retreat. Level 5 empty god realm. What a powerful force. Lu Ming felt his arm go numb and the blood in his body surged. Crack. At that moment, the metal ball threw a beast core into its mouth. As it chewed, it dashed towards the bald man. As it dashed out, the metal ball changed rapidly. It turned into a big ball with a diameter of a few meters and smashed towards the bald man. Dong. The bald man's saber hit the metal ball and there was a loud bang. The metal ball was sent flying. However, the bald man's saber force was also slowed down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's sword radiances surged. They were like two streaks of rainbow light that shot towards the bald man. Get lost! The bald man roared, and his saber slashed out horizontally as if it was capable of sweeping away 1,000 armies. A crescent-shaped saber radiance shot out in all directions. This was a large-scale attack. Although it consumed a lot of divine power, it was very useful in this situation. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan could not help but retreat. Although they could kill a level 4 Empty God Realm martial artist with their powerful combat skills, they were no match for a level 5 Empty God Realm martial artist. Die, you brat! After forcing Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan to retreat, the bald man charged towards Lu Ming ferociously. Go! Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball dashed out towards the bald man. However, the metal ball was sent flying by the bald man's saber. Chapter 2594. The metal ball was extremely heavy and its explosive power was comparable to that of a level 4 Empty God Realm martial artist. However, it could not block the bald man's attack. Tong Shi-er was extremely anxious at the side. However, with her strength, the difference between her and the bald man was too great. She would only die if she went up. Die, you brat! The bald man roared. When he saw the metal ball following Lu Ming, he wanted to kill Lu Ming. He wanted to get rid of Lu Ming first. Lu Ming squinted his eyes and retreated quickly. At the same time, he unleashed his sovereign power to its maximum. Swoosh! The bald man's saber radiance was dazzling as it slashed towards Lu Ming. As Lu Ming retreated, he slashed out with his sword and it clashed with the bald man's saber. Dang! As the saber and sword clashed, sparks flew. Lu Ming felt a terrifying power surging towards him. His body shook violently and he flew out like a cannonball. He crashed into the wall of the valley and even the metal wall cracked and caved in. Poof! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt as if his arm was going to break. The sacred weapon in his hand had a chip on it. Lower rank 5 sacred weapon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The bald man's saber was a lower rank 5 sacred weapon. His combat sword was only a lower rank 3 sacred weapon. It was normal for it to have a chip on it. In the primitive universe, divine weapons were divided into low-grade divine weapons, middle-grade divine weapons, high-grade divine weapons, and supreme-grade divine weapons. There were 4 grades. Every grade was further divided into 9 ranks. The combat sword in Lu Ming's hand was given to him by Baiya. It was a lower rank 3 sacred weapon and it was the highest grade sacred weapon that Lu Ming had. Boom! At that moment, the metal ball charged towards the bald man. It had become bigger and its diameter was 10 meters. It was like a small hill as it smashed towards the bald man. Xian Yinjuan, Dark Sacred Light Skill. Xian Yinqing sent a message to Xian Yinjuan. All right. Xian Yinjuan nodded. Boom! Boom! Their bodies emitted resplendent light. One was black and the other was white. It was like a black sun and a white sun. Then, the black light and the white light intertwined to form a cage that enveloped the bald man. Boom! The bald man struck the cage with all his might, but it didn't break. This was the Dark Holy Light Cage. Only Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan could use this secret technique together. Back when the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Realm were fighting, the two of them had worked together to trap Saint Ancestor Xiaoxian for a while. At that time, their cultivation was only at the half-martial realm, but they were able to trap the Empty God Realm's sacred ancestor Xiaoxian. Now that both of them had broken through to the Empty God Realm, their cultivation techniques had undergone a transformation, allowing them to control divine force. When they executed this move, it was much stronger than before. Boom! 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 The bald man went berserk. Dazzling saber radiance flashed as he launched a frenzied attack. However, all of his attacks were blocked by the Dark Holy Light Cage. Lu Ming attack! Xian Yinqing shouted. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. He exerted all his strength and slashed out with his combat sword. Streaks of sword chi flew towards the bald man as though they were free. At the same time, Tong Shi-er attacked with all her might. At the same time, she took the opportunity to hit the bald man with the metal ball. The Dark Holy Light Cage didn't stop Lu Ming and the rest at all. Their attacks landed on the bald man as much as they wanted. At that moment, the bald man was like a live target for Lu Ming and the rest to attack. The bald man waved his saber with all his might to block the attacks from Lu Ming and the rest. However, the Dark Holy Light Cage that Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan had executed could not only trap him but also attack him. Black and white lotuses appeared in the Dark Holy Light Cage and turned into streaks of sword chi. They danced in the air and attacked the bald man. In an instant, the bald man was flustered and could only defend himself with all his might. However, he could only defend himself and couldn't attack. He was reduced to a live target, and there were times when he let his guard down. Poof! A streak of black sword radiance slashed across his body and a deep sword wound appeared. Blood flowed out from the wound. He roared and retreated quickly. He crashed into the dark holy light cage. A streak of white sword radiance flashed and his chest was almost pierced through. Brr! The bald man let out a beast-like roar. He was a level 5 Empty God Realm martial artist, but he was injured by a few level 1 Empty God Realm juniors. He was furious. Unfortunately, no matter how angry he was, it was useless. After a while he was no match for Lu Ming. He staggered after being hit by the metal ball. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and almost chopped off his head with his sword, leaving a sword wound that was a few feet long on his chest. With injuries on top of injuries, the bald man's strength started to weaken. "Today you are the one who will die," Lu Ming said coldly, and his attacks became more violent. "Don't even think about it. Don't even think about killing me," the bald man roared. The aura on his body suddenly surged, and it was as though there was a flame burning fiercely. He was burning his divine power. The bald man was going to fight with all his might. Most people would not burn their divine power unless it was a critical moment. If they burned their divine power too much, their cultivation rank might regress, and it might even leave a terrible sequela. It would be difficult for them to raise their cultivation rank in the future. Usually, they would not fight with all their might unless they were in a dangerous situation. However, the bald man had to fight with all his might. If he didn't fight with all his might, he might die here. Boom, boom. The burning of his divine power increased the bald man's strength by a lot. He broke through everyone's attacks and then slashed heavily on the Dark Saint Light cage. Boom. The Dark Saint Light cage shook violently. Boom, boom. Then, the bald man attacked the Dark Saint Light cage crazily, causing the Dark Saint Light cage to shake more and more violently. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's delicate bodies also trembled and their faces turned pale. The bald-headed man continuously attacked with 50 to 60 moves. Moreover, he was specifically attacking a single spot. Crack. That area finally could not withstand the attacks and a crack appeared. Then the crack collapsed and a gap appeared. Swoosh. The bald man seized the opportunity and rushed out of the gap. He then turned into a beam of light and sped into the distance. "I will take revenge for this sooner or later." He actually did not dare to stay any longer. He needed to find a place to stop burning his divine power and heal his injuries. Otherwise, not only would his cultivation regress, it would also leave behind a terrifying aftereffect. If there were terrible sequelae and he could not raise his cultivation rank in the future, it would be a great loss. Compared to killing Lu Ming and the rest, his future was more important. He would have another chance to kill Lu Ming and the rest in the future. In the blink of an eye, the bald man was nowhere to be seen. What a pity. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. However, he knew that their cultivation ranks were too low. It was shocking that they could force a rank 5 Empty God Realm to such a state. Chapter 2595. The bald man retreated with serious injuries. As for Lu Ming and the rest, they did not stay and immediately left the area. Following that, they became more cautious. They purposely went to remote areas to avoid meeting other warriors. The next 10 days were very peaceful. Nothing major happened and they hunted for desolate beasts in peace. With the help of the metal ball, their speed of killing desolate beasts increased greatly. However, they discovered a situation. The metal ball could deal with desolate beasts at level 4 Void God Realm, but it was very difficult to deal with those above level 5 Void God Realm. It could frighten the other party, but if the other party turned and ran, the metal ball could not catch up. Hence, the desolate beasts they hunted were all below level 4 Void God Realm. During this period, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Tong Shi used all their strength to kill desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. After all, if they relied on the metal ball alone, they would have to split half of the beast cores they hunted. If they worked together, their efficiency would naturally be much higher. In 10 days, including the beast cores they hunted previously, they could probably sell them for about 100,000 divine gems. This was definitely a great harvest. On this day, after the metal ball swallowed a beast core, its body suddenly emitted a resplendent light. A powerful aura emanated from it. Could it be about to advance in rank? Lu Ming was a little stunned. Could it be that the metal ball could advance in rank by continuously swallowing beast cores? Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The metal ball was like a balloon. It would swell and shrink at times. This repeated for a few hours before it stabilized. The metal ball's aura had also increased. Level 2 Void God Realm. Lu Ming understood that the metal ball had really advanced in rank. It had reached level 2 Void God Realm. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The metal ball would undoubtedly be stronger after advancing in rank. In the future, its speed of killing desolate beasts would definitely be faster. Just as they were continuing to hunt desolate beasts, a figure rushed out from a hidden cave. It was the bald man from Yuanluo Hall. After more than 10 days, his injuries had finally healed. The aftereffects of burning divine power had also been stabilized. Tong Shi and that brat don't think you'll have an easy time. If I can't have it, you can't either. The bald man said ferociously. Then, his figure flashed and he left the place. Tens of thousands of miles away, there was another group of people hunting desolate beasts. There were about a dozen of them. This group of people came from another faction, Storm Hall. The Wind Cloud Hall was not any weaker than the Yuanluo Palace and the Righteous Army. Who? Suddenly, an old man who was the leader of the Fengyun Hall, looked in a certain direction with sharp eyes. Brother Feng's spiritual sense is indeed sharp. I'm impressed. With a chuckle, a figure appeared. It was the bald man from the Yuanluo Hall. Kong Bing, it's you? What's wrong? You want to take advantage of my Storm Hall? The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall scanned the surroundings with his sharp eyes. The other members of the Wind Cloud Hall also looked around warily. The chaotic astral ocean was originally a chaotic place. There were countless big and small forces. It was common for these forces to kill each other. And in the 10,000 Gold Star, killing each other for beast cores was a common occurrence. Naturally, they had to be on high alert. Brother Feng, you must be joking. I'm here to tell you about a great opportunity. The bald man smiled. A great opportunity? The old man's lips curled up. Clearly he did not believe him. He said, Kong Bing, would you be so kind as to tell me about an opportunity? You would have already taken it for yourself. This opportunity is not in my hands. It was taken away by someone else. It was a few brats from the Righteous Army. They obtained a metal ball that has spirituality. It can suppress the other metal desolate beasts on the 10,000 Gold Star and take their beast cores. Their efficiency is astonishing. The bald man said. What? There's such a treasure? Kong Bing, you're not tricking me, right? The old man still did not believe him. It's up to you to believe it or not. I've already brought the news. There are only 4 people in the Righteous Army, 3 women and 1 man. They are all young. Why don't you try to see if it's true? The bald man smiled. Then, his figure flashed and he left the place. Brother Feng, what should we do? Is this Kong Bing telling the truth? Someone asked the old man. There's actually such a powerful metal life form that can suppress other metal desolate beasts. It's better to believe it than not. If it's true, we'll be rich. Immediately find those brats from the Righteous Army. The old man ordered. Then, the bald man traversed the land to find people from other forces and spread the news. Most of the people were like the old man from the Storm Hall. They would rather look around. More and more people joined in the search for Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others knew nothing about this and continued to hunt for beast cores. With the advancement of the metal ball, the speed of their hunt for beast cores had increased. They could even hunt a level 5 empty God Realm wild beast now. There's someone. On this day, as they were moving forward, Xian Yinjuan's eyes suddenly flickered. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also sensed it. Swoosh, swoosh. 6 figures flashed in front of him and 6 figures appeared. These 6 people were from the Naga tribe and the Oxhead tribe. The leader was a Naga elder. He glanced at Lu Ming and the others with a gloomy expression. Finally, his gaze landed on the metal ball on Lu Ming's shoulder. It's exactly as Kong Bing said. There really is a metal life form like this. The Naga elder's eyes were filled with greed. They came from a small force. There were only 6 of them on the 10,000 Gold Star. When they heard Kong Bing's news, they immediately searched everywhere. Unexpectedly, they found Lu Ming and the others first. Brat, give us the metal ball on your shoulder and we'll spare your life. The Naga elder spoke. His voice was sharp and hoarse. His snake tail swung around threateningly. They're here for the metal ball? Lu Ming's heart jumped. He immediately thought of the bald man from the Yuanluo Palace. It must have been the bald man who leaked the information, or he simply wanted to borrow the hands of others to eliminate them. Scram! Lu Ming shouted coldly. Among the 6 people, the Naga elder had the highest cultivation. He was at level 4 empty God Realm. The others were all below level 4 empty God Realm. They were not afraid at all. What did you say? A transformation void martial realm dares to speak to me like that. If you had handed over the metal ball, I could have considered sparing your life. Now even if you kneel down and beg me, you'll still have to die. The Naga elder's voice was extremely cold and was filled with cold killing intent. I'll kill him. A level 3 empty god realm ox head held a battle axe. He arched his body and took a step forward. His body shot out like an arrow towards Lu Ming. Go, smash him to death. Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball flew out. At the same time, it swelled rapidly and smashed towards the ox head. Chapter 2596. The metal ball grew bigger and smashed down on the bull-headed man. The bull-headed man roared and waved his giant axe to hit the metal ball. Clang. There was an earth-shattering sound as the bull-headed man's battle axe bounced back and smashed onto his head. At the same time, the metal ball smashed onto the bull-headed man's head. The bull-headed man screamed in pain as his body exploded and he died on the spot. When the metal ball was at level 1 empty god realm, its strength was equivalent to level 4 empty god realm. Now that it had leveled up, it could fight against a level 5 empty god realm expert. Naturally, it could kill a level 3 empty god realm expert instantly. What? The Naga elder turned pale with fright. A level 3 empty god realm expert was killed in seconds. Even he couldn't do it. Let's go. The Naga elder roared and turned to run. The remaining few people were already scared out of their wits. Before the Naga elder could say anything, they had already run away. Smash. Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball flew out and smashed towards the Naga elder. Boom. The metal ball was like a mountain as it smashed towards the Naga elder. The Naga elder tried his best to block the attack. However, his attacks were all destroyed by the metal ball. Bam. The Naga elder's palms landed on the metal ball. His body shook violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Both of his arms were broken from the impact. Then, the metal ball continued to fly and smashed onto the Naga elder. The Naga elder could not block the attack of the metal ball. He tried his best to block a few attacks but was still killed by the metal ball. As for the remaining people, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan had already rushed out. With a flash of sword radiance they were all killed. The Naga elder and the other 5 people had all died here. However, Lu Ming and the rest had grave expressions on their faces. If the bald man from Yuan Luo Hall could inform the Naga elder and the others, he could inform the others. It would be bad if they met a more powerful expert. Let's go. They took the storage rings of the Naga elder and the others and left in a flash. However, not long after they were besieged again. This time they encountered people from the Storm Hall. There were more than 20 people in Fengyun Hall and 2 of them were at level 5 empty god realm. There were a few level 4 empty god realm martial artists and they were no match for them. With the help of the metal ball, they blocked a few of the opponent's attacks and retreated. Don't even think about leaving. Hand over that metal ball. The leader of the Fengyun Hall was an elder from the human tribe. His eyes were cold and his cultivation was at the peak of level 5 empty god realm. He was very powerful and he chased after Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others didn't even glance at him as they ran with all their might. Die. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall struck out with his palm. A palm force that could topple mountains and overturn seas blasted towards Lu Ming and the others. Wherever it passed, trees made of metal would explode and disintegrate. Go. Lu Ming directly pushed the metal ball out. Dong. With a loud boom, the metal ball shook violently and was sent flying back. However, the speed of Lu Ming's group was not affected in the slightest. They continued to run at top speed. You can't escape. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall looked ferocious and his eyes sparkled with greed. That metal ball was magical and its strength was shocking. If he could get it, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. Brr. Suddenly, there was a loud roar in front of them. The roar was shocking. Even though they were far away, they could feel a strong oppression. That is a level 6 empty god realm metal desolate beast. Xian Yinjuan said. Let's go. Lu Ming said. They didn't slow down and rushed forward. You are courting death. You are courting death. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall shouted angrily. Even if we are courting death, we won't let you off easily. If you have the ability, come after us. Lu Ming turned back and shouted in disdain. Damn it. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall shouted. He gritted his teeth and continued to chase. Brr. In front of them, there was a thunderous roar. They saw a huge metal tiger that was more than 10 meters tall and it was cruising around. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest got close, they were discovered by the huge metal tiger. Its cold eyes swept towards Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming and the rest felt a strong pressure. A level 6 empty god realm metal desolate beast was terrifying. Even if Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan joined forces with the metal ball, they would be defeated in an instant. Brr. The huge metal tiger roared. It stomped on the ground and the ground shook. Then it ran towards Lu Ming and the rest. We can only take a gamble. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He didn't stop and continued to rush forward. At that moment, the metal ball revealed a big mouth and a pair of eyes. It stared at the huge metal tiger and opened its mouth vigorously, making cracking sounds. When the huge metal tiger saw the metal ball, fear flashed in its eyes. It twisted its waist and went around Lu Ming and the rest, charging towards the men from the Wind Cloud Hall. Damn it, run! The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall shouted and turned to run. Although he was a peak level 5 empty god realm metal tiger, he would still die if he went up against the level 6 empty god realm metal tiger. The metal beasts on Wan Jingxing were stronger when they were at the same level. As they were made of metal, they had amazing defensive strength and tenacious vitality. When they fought, they weren't afraid of death. Brr. The huge metal tiger roared. It leaped and covered 100 miles. Soon it caught up with the men from the Wind Cloud Hall. Its huge claws swept out and 2 experts from the Wind Cloud Hall were killed. Then it opened its mouth and bit down. An expert from the Wind Cloud Hall was bitten into 2. It was simply a torture. Ah, damn it. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall ran the fastest. He was at the front, but he was roaring in his heart. He couldn't understand why the huge metal tiger didn't attack Lu Ming and the rest. Instead, it attacked them. He was furious, but now he could only run. Phew. Lu Ming and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. Especially Tong Shi. She felt a layer of cold sweat covering her body. However, they had made the right bet. The huge metal tiger didn't attack them. It seemed that the metal ball had a deterrent effect on level 6 empty god realm metal beasts. Let's go. They didn't stay and left in a flash. After running for a distance, they stopped. It seems that we can't stay in Wan Jingxing. I'm afraid that Yuan Luo Hall has spread the news. Tong Shi said. That's right. Let's leave immediately and return to Jingtian's star. Lu Ming said. After hunting for this period of time, they had a good harvest. If they sold it for divine gems, they could use it for a period of time. Originally, if there wasn't any danger, they wanted to continue hunting beasts in Wan Jingxing. However, it was too dangerous to stay in Wan Jingxing. If they encountered a level 6 or even level 7 empty god realm expert, they would be in danger. Chapter 2597. The few of them discussed for a while and decided to return. Tong Shi then took out the interstellar battleship and activated it. The few of them then entered the interstellar battleship. Swoosh. The interstellar battleship shone and shot up into the sky. However, just as the interstellar battleship reached the atmosphere, a terrifying saber radiance slashed down from above and landed heavily on the interstellar battleship. Boom. The interstellar battleship roared and shook violently. Not good. Lu Ming and the rest had a change of expression. Through the interstellar battleship they could see a burly man in the sky. He had a single horn on his forehead. He was an expert from the Rhinoceros Man. His body exuded a terrifying aura. His eyes were cold as he slashed out with his saber. Swoosh. The snow-white saber radiance lit up the sky and struck the interstellar battleship. The interstellar battleship shook violently and roared continuously. Fortunately, the interstellar battleship's defense was strong enough. Otherwise, it would not be able to travel in the starry sky. The other party would not be able to break through the defense in a short period of time. However, even if the other party could not break through the defense, he could still stop them. When the other experts arrived, they would be like a turtle in a jar. Turn around, Lu Ming said. Tong Shi controlled the interstellar battleship to turn around and fly back to the ground. In the sky, the Rhinoceros Man chased after them relentlessly. This man's cultivation was shockingly high. He was definitely above level 6 empty god realm. He might even be a level 7 empty god realm expert. Obviously, this man had been patrolling in the sky because he knew that Lu Ming and the others would escape in the interstellar battleship. If there were experts in this area, there might be experts patrolling in other areas as well. They stayed close to the ground and did not leave the interstellar battleship. Instead, they steered the interstellar battleship to fly. The interstellar battleship's speed was shocking. It was much faster than the Rhinoceros Man. Soon they shook him off. After shaking off the Rhinoceros Man, they left the interstellar battleship and flew on their own. The interstellar battleship flying above the 10,000 gold star would cause a huge commotion and attract too much attention. If they continued to fly there, they would undoubtedly be courting death. Not only would they attract other experts, but they would also attract the powerful metal desolate beast. However, their luck seemed to have run out. They did not fly for long before they met a group of people. As soon as this group of people saw Lu Ming and the rest, their eyes lit up. It's them? Kill them and take their treasures. This group of people dashed towards Lu Ming and the group. The one in front was a level 5 empty god. There were also a few who were at level 4 void god realm. Go, smash him to death. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. With a wave of his hand, the metal ball flew out and smashed towards the level 5 empty god. With the metal ball's current ability, it would not be a problem to block a level 5 empty god realm expert. As for Lu Ming and the others, they rushed towards the remaining people. Being chased all the way, Lu Ming and the others also had a belly full of anger. Now was the perfect time to go on a killing spree. Boom. The metal ball collided with the level 5 empty god realm expert. Xian Yanjuan swung his long sword and split it into rays of sword light, enveloping the two level 4 empty god realm experts. On the other hand, Xian Yanqing charged towards the last level 4 void god. Lu Ming activated double combat strength and fought the rest together with Tong Xie. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, as long as he did not encounter a level 4 empty god realm expert, he could protect himself. Although the other party had more people, Lu Ming defended with all his might. The other party could not do anything to Lu Ming. As for Xian Yanqing, he could completely suppress a level 4 empty god realm expert. Swoosh, swoosh. Xian Yanqing had devoured the memories of his previous life. His combat experience and combat awareness were not much weaker than Xian Yanjuan's. His sword radiance flashed and forced the other party to retreat. Poof. After dozens of moves, the other party was almost cut into two by Xian Yanqing's sword radiance. He was frightened and retreated frantically. Swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, Xian Yanqing's sword aura suddenly changed. He was like a flying immortal as he charged towards the people who were fighting with Lu Ming. Poof, poof. As the sword radiance flashed, a few heads flew out. One level 3 empty god realm expert and two level 2 empty god realm experts were killed instantly. Such swordsmanship, such combat skills. Lu Ming was secretly astonished when he saw this. Xian Yanqing's and Xian Yanjuan's swordsmanship came from the same source. They were very similar and they were amazing. Lu Ming did not think that he could achieve it. Especially after Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had broken through to the martial god realm, they had reached a shocking level. This was not a divine skill but a simple use of the sword. It was a skill and experience. With their current strength, it was difficult for them to use a divine skill. Normally, one would have to reach the peak empty god realm to cultivate a divine skill. Swoosh. After killing the three experts, Xian Yanqing's sword aura changed again and another two people were killed. Oh no. The remaining people were shocked. They had so many people but they were still no match for Lu Ming and the other three young men. This shocked them. Swoosh, swoosh. Just then there was a loud piercing sound from afar. More than 10 streamers shot towards them. Another group of experts had arrived. Those people were overjoyed. It's them. They have the treasure. Let's join forces and kill them. Those people yelled. It's them. Kill. When those people saw Lu Ming and the others, they charged towards them. Let's go. Lu Ming shouted and kept the metal ball. He turned around and left with Tong Xie, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. Another group of people had arrived and there were level 5 empty gods among them. It would be unwise for them to stay and fight. Where are you going? Behind them, a group of people chased after them. In the blink of an eye, they had traveled a few thousand miles. Something is not right. Why is there not a single metal desolate beast in this area? Suddenly Lu Ming frowned. They had traveled a few thousand miles. Logically speaking, they should have encountered many metal desolate beasts. However, they had not encountered any metal desolate beasts. This was not normal. Rumble. Suddenly, there was a loud roar from afar and the ground shook violently. Furthermore, the vibration was not coming from a single direction. Instead, it was coming from all directions. What's going on? The expressions of those who were chasing after Lu Ming and the rest changed. Roar, roar, roar. Then there was the sound of beasts roaring. The ground around them shook more and more violently. Then they saw countless metal desolate beasts rushing towards them from all directions like a tide. Beast tide, desolate beasts, beast tide. Run. Fly to the sky. Those who were chasing Lu Ming and the others were panicking and exclaiming. However, there were desolate beasts in all directions. With so many desolate beasts rushing towards them, they would definitely be wiped out. Many of them soared into the sky and tried to escape. However, in the next moment they were in despair. Chapter 2598. In the sky, there was a sharp cry as flying desolate beasts appeared in the sky. Everyone's faces turned pale. What should we do? Tong Shier's face was also pale. Let's risk it. Little guy, we're counting on you. Lu Ming looked at the metal ball. The metal ball could deter those metal desolate beasts. Now they could only rely on the metal ball. Rumble. Countless metal desolate beasts approached. Their terrifying auras pressed down like a landslide. Some people had already been engulfed by the beast horde. They let out miserable cries, but in a blink of an eye, there was no sound. The metal ball in Lu Ming's hand expanded in size. It opened its mouth and began to bite. Its eyes stared angrily at those metal desolate beasts. When those metal desolate beasts saw the metal ball, they revealed a look of fear. They actually went around Lu Ming and company and did not attack Lu Ming and company. It's effective. Lu Ming and company were overjoyed. This scene was also seen by others. Charge towards them. They are fine. Bring them along and we can leave one jinxing. The remaining people who were not dead rushed towards Lu Ming and company. Let's go. Lu Ming and company would not stand there foolishly. They used the metal ball to open a path and charged into the beast horde. You are not going to save us. You will die a horrible death. When those people saw Lu Ming and company charging into the beast horde and about to disappear, they began to roar crazily. Lu Ming and company despised them. These people wanted to kill them just now. They were not fools. Why would they save them? To say that they were not going to save them was simply laughable. Behind them there were screams and rumbling sounds. Soon there was no sound. Lu Ming and company used the metal ball to open a path. It was very safe. They passed through the beast horde without any mishaps. However, after traveling for some time, they encountered another beast horde. They were running through the forest and roaring like thunder. I heard that in the 10,000 gold star, there will only be a beast tide once every 10,000 years. I didn't expect that we would encounter it this time. There was a look of lingering fear on her face. This time, if they did not have the metal ball, they would also be in danger. Most likely they would not have survived. They used the metal ball to pass through the beast tide and entered a forest. Brr, brr. Not long after they entered the forest, they heard the roars of desolate beasts. At the same time, there were sword beams and saber beams that shot up into the sky. Clearly, someone was battling a desolate beast. The next moment they saw a group of people rushing over, followed by a bunch of desolate beasts. It's him. The expressions of Lu Ming and the others changed. One of them was the bald, bulky man from the Yuanluo Palace. The other person was the old man from the Storm Hall. At this moment they were all in a sorry state, being chased by a group of desolate beasts. It's them? It's those bastards. The bald, bulky man from the Yuanluo Palace also saw Lu Ming and the others. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. Then, the bald, bulky man from the Yuanluo Palace directly rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. The others followed the bald, bulky man and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Clearly they wanted to drag Lu Ming and the others down with them. They are courting death. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Let's bring them to the beast tide. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Xian Yanqing and the others. Xian Yanqing and the others' eyes lit up. They understood what Lu Ming and the others wanted to do. They turned and ran towards the beast tide from before. The bald, bulky man and the others chased closely behind Lu Ming and the others. They had just passed through the beast tide, so they were not far away. Soon they saw a large group of desolate beasts. Lu Ming immediately kept the metal ball into his storage ring. Roar! Roar! When the desolate beasts saw Lu Ming and the others, they rushed towards Lu Ming and the others in a frenzy. Not good. Damn it. The bald, bulky man and the others turned pale with fright. As for Lu Ming and the others, they turned and rushed towards the bald, bulky man and the others, bringing a large group of desolate beasts with them. Damn it, all of you deserve to die. A bunch of lunatics. The bald, bulky man and the others roared. They thought that Lu Ming and the others would not be able to escape and would drag them down with them. All of you get lost, get lost. The bald, bulky man roared angrily. Weren't you chasing us just now? Why are you telling us to get lost now? Lu Ming sneered and continued to chase after the bald, bulky man and the others. The bald, bulky man and the others revealed a look of despair. There was a large group of desolate beasts behind them. There were even more desolate beasts in front of them. In the sky there was also a dense group of flying desolate beasts. There was simply no way out. At this moment, Lu Ming and the others suddenly stopped. Then, the metal ball in his hand appeared again. With the metal ball out, the desolate beasts automatically avoided Lu Ming and the others and pounced towards the bald bulky man and the others. Enjoy it? Lu Ming sneered. Then, together with Xian Yanqing and the others, they rushed into the group of desolate beasts and were safe and sound. Ah! The bald bulky man, the elder from Storm Hall, let out a furious roar. They were aggrieved, indignant and scared to death. They understood that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. They wanted to rush towards Lu Ming and the others, but countless desolate beasts had already drowned them. A few level 5 Void God Realm desolate beasts rushed towards the bald bulky man. The bald bulky man tried his best to block a few moves before he was torn apart and died on the spot. The elder from Storm Hall could not withstand more than a few moves and was also torn apart by the desolate beasts. Lu Ming and the others left the place. Now that there is a beast horde, be it on the ground or in the sky, there are terrifying desolate beasts. There shouldn't be any experts blocking us in the sky. Let's leave now. Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Those experts had probably left Wanjingxing when they saw the beast horde. However, with so many desolate beasts in the sky, they naturally could not take out their space battleships to fly. They had to pass through the desolate beasts before they could leave. They flew towards the sky. Suddenly there was a sharp screech. A silver-white large eagle that looked like it was made of silver flew over and stared at Lu Ming and the others. A terrifying aura emanated from the large eagle, causing the hearts of Lu Ming and the others to beat faster. Terrifying. So terrifying. The large eagle gave them an extremely terrifying feeling. It was even more terrifying than the level 7 Void God Realm desolate beasts that they had encountered previously. This was definitely an existence that surpassed level 7 Void God Realm. Such an existence was too shocking. Lu Ming felt that the other party only needed one move to kill him. The large silver eagle's cold eyes stared at them, causing Lu Ming and the others to tense up. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Crack, crack. Metal Ball opened its mouth and stared at the large eagle. The large silver eagle's eyes landed on Metal Ball. Unlike other desolate beasts, there was not much fear in the large silver eagle's eyes. Chapter 2599. Seeing the silver condor's cold and fearless gaze, Lu Ming and company could not help but feel their hearts tighten. It can't be. This silver condor was not afraid of the metal ball. Then wouldn't they be doomed? Being ignored by the silver condor, the metal ball was enraged. It seemed to feel that its dignity had been challenged. Its body swelled as it attacked. Its eyes were wide open as it revealed a mouth full of fangs. It bit down with a loud crunching sound. At the same time, 2 tentacles extended from its liquid metal-like body. They waved as if they were threatening the silver condor. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, Tong Shi-er and company did not even dare to breathe loudly. They stood there motionless. Now they could only rely on the metal ball. If the metal ball could not scare it away, they would be in danger. Thankfully, the silver condor finally reacted. Its cold eyes swept across Lu Ming and company before it turned around. With a long cry, it flapped its wings and left. Not only that, even the other flying desolate beasts in the surrounding area also left. It's gone. Lu Ming and company let out a long breath. They felt a chill run down their backs. They were already drenched in cold sweat. Crack, crack, crack. The metal ball shrank and turned back into a round metal ball. It jumped around in front of Lu Ming as if it was showing off its battle results. Let's go. Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball and flew into the sky. This time they were safe. They flew above the atmosphere and only stopped when they were close to outer space. There were no more desolate beasts here, nor were there any other experts. Tong Shi-er took out her interstellar battleship. After entering it, the battleship transformed into a beam of light and flew out of the atmosphere into the vast cosmos. After entering the cosmos, they heaved a sigh of relief. Many things had happened on this trip to Wanjingxing, but they had finally left without any mishap. We'll come again when our cultivation levels are higher. Lu Ming muttered. This was a treasure trove that could allow one to hunt for large amounts of desolate metal beast cores. Furthermore, Lu Ming had a treasure like the metal ball, which allowed him to hunt for desolate metal beast cores with astonishing efficiency. However, they definitely wouldn't be able to come in the near future. It wasn't just because of the beast tide. After the beast tide, the experts of the other forces would return to Wanjingxing, and they would probably still come looking for them. In a few years, when my cultivation is higher, I'll come again. After that, they sorted through the storage rings they obtained from their enemies and found some beast cores and divine crystals. After organizing these things together and returning to the righteous army, he would sell the beast cores and divide them equally. Time passed quickly. A month later they returned to Just Sky Planet. Within the righteous army, it was a place that specialized in buying, selling, and even exchanging treasures. After returning to Just Sky, Tong Shi'er brought Lu Ming and the others to this place and sold all the metal beast cores. Including their spoils of war, they had a total of 120,000 divine gems. 120,000 divinity crystals, 30,000 each. Lu Ming smiled and began to divide equally. No, I only want 10,000. This time it's all thanks to you guys. I didn't do much. Tong Shi'er hurriedly refused, her face slightly red. This time she indeed didn't do much. Whether it was Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing or Xian Yanjuan, they were all stronger than her. She had contributed the least, so she was a little embarrassed to take 10,000 divinity crystals. We agreed to divide the divine gems equally. Since we agreed to it, we naturally have to do it. Lu Ming pushed 30,000 divinity crystals to Tong Shi'er. Lu Ming was already very satisfied with obtaining the metal ball this time. If Tong Shi'er hadn't brought them there, he wouldn't have been able to obtain it. However, Tong Shi'er still refused and only accepted 20,000 divinity crystals in the end. Lu Ming, I'll return the interstellar warship. You guys go ahead and chat. Tong Shi'er said goodbye and left. There's still 100,000 divinity crystals left. Lu Ming took out the remaining divinity crystals. Just give me 30,000 divinity crystals. Xian Yanjuan waved his hand, took a storage ring with 30,000 divinity crystals and flew away. Only Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were left. The two of them didn't split the loot. Xian Yanqing took 30,000 divinity crystals, while Lu Ming kept 40,000. With these divinity crystals, my cultivation should be able to break through quickly. Xian Yanqing smiled. She had devoured the memories of her previous life, which allowed her to cultivate at an astonishing speed. Her comprehension of the Tao of cultivation was especially natural. Therefore, as long as she had the resources, she would be able to break through very quickly. However, Xian Yanjuan had a greater advantage. She had merged with her past life, which was equivalent to her past life coming back to life. She didn't need to comprehend it again, so her breakthrough was faster and there were almost no bottlenecks. The two of them chatted for a while, then returned to their rooms to cultivate. During this trip to Wanjingxing, after a series of battles, Lu Ming had made great progress. His comprehension of the battle character formula and the path of sovereign had taken a big step forward. Lu Ming had a feeling that he would be able to break through soon. Lu Ming placed the metal ball in his room and focused on cultivating in seclusion. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Lu Ming's body, which had been meditating for a year, suddenly emitted a powerful suction force. The divine qi between heaven and earth gathered crazily towards his body and rushed into it. Then Lu Ming waved his hand, and a pile of divinity crystals appeared. They kept exploding, turning into rich divine qi which was absorbed by Lu Ming. The power of the world and the power of the master in Lu Ming's body began to soar and rapidly became rich. A few days later, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed and then slowly disappeared. Swoosh! Lu Ming opened his eyes and 2 rays of light burst out from his eyes, which were dazzling. 4-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming revealed a smile. After training in Wanjingxing for a while and coming back to cultivate for a year, Lu Ming broke through once again. Of course, this was because Lu Ming's cultivation was still low in the Heavenly Emperor realm. Moreover, the cultivation environment of the chaotic universe was really much better than the Heaven realm. That was why he broke through so quickly. If it was in the Heaven realm, it was absolutely impossible to break through in such a short time. Of course, if he reached the Void God realm in the future, it would not be so easy to break through. Reaching the Void God realm, every breakthrough was very difficult, unless it was a heaven-defying genius with the help of some rare treasures. Reaching the 4-star Heavenly Emperor, Lu Ming's strength had undoubtedly increased by another level. Now, if he triggered double combat power, killing a level 3 Void God realm existence would be a piece of cake. Even if it was a level 4 Void God realm, he could also contend for a while. Lu Ming got up and stretched his back. There were dense explosive sounds coming from his body. This guy. Lu Ming opened his eyes and saw that the metal ball was lying on the ground softly, with a listless look, almost turning into a pool of liquid. This guy, could it be that he didn't eat and is like this? Lu Ming guessed, and then a metal beast core appeared in his hand. Previously, Lu Ming still had dozens of scattered beast cores in his hands that had not been sold. Chapter 2600. As soon as the metal beast core appeared in Lu Ming's hand, the metal ball immediately bounced up and shook vigorously like a piece of jelly. A large mouth and a pair of eyes appeared on the metal beast core. The eyes shone brightly as they stared at the metal beast core in Lu Ming's hand. Swish! The metal ball directly jumped over, opened its mouth and swallowed the beast core in one gulp. Then it began to chew. After a while, the metal beast core was completely eaten by the metal ball. Then it looked at Lu Ming eagerly. Lu Ming took out a few more, but they were all eaten by the metal ball in a few bites. This can't go on. Where can I find so many metal beast cores for it to eat? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Metal beast cores are actually a type of forging material. I wonder if this fellow will eat other metal-attributed forging materials? At the thought of this, a piece of forging material appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It shone with different colors. They were all metals of different attributes. Gotcha. As soon as Lu Ming took it out, it was swallowed by the metal ball in one gulp. It seemed to be eating with relish. It really ate it. This fellow's teeth are really good. Then will it eat a combat weapon? Lu Ming thought for a while and took out a Great Emperor weapon. The metal ball stretched out two tentacles and grabbed the Great Emperor weapon. Then it chewed it into pieces. Then its round body shook as if it was saying that the combat weapon's grade wasn't high enough and it wasn't tasty enough. Lu Ming was speechless. In the next moment, a bow and arrow appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This was the Fallen Star Bow, a damaged Heavenly Dao weapon. When Lu Ming's cultivation was still weak, it had helped Lu Ming a lot. The metal ball grabbed it and swallowed it in a few bites. Only then did the metal ball reveal a hint of satisfaction in its eyes. I'll give you a few more. Lu Ming took out a few more Heavenly Dao weapons, including the Great Desolate Spear. The Great Desolation Spear had been damaged in the battle with the outsider's sacred ancestor. Furthermore, to the current Lu Ming, Heavenly Dao soldiers were useless. He could shatter them with a wave of his hand. The metal ball did not reject them. It chewed and swallowed the Heavenly Dao soldiers one by one. After swallowing them, the metal body emitted a layer of light. It then looked at Lu Ming eagerly. This guy's appetite is too big. Lu Ming had a headache. Then he gritted his teeth and took out two weapons, a saber and an axe. They were both divine artifacts, but they were only low-grade Tier 1 divine artifacts. They were all Lu Ming's spoils of war from the enemy. In Wan Jingxing's battle, Lu Ming and the others had all obtained several divine items. However, the highest was a low-grade 3rd-tier divine item. They hadn't obtained anything higher than a low-grade 4th-tier divine item. Seeing the two low-grade 1st-tier divine items, the metal ball's eyes shone. He grabbed them and started chewing. This was a divine weapon. Although it was only a 1st-tier inferior-grade divine weapon, it was extremely sturdy. Even with Lu Ming's current ability, it would take him some effort to destroy it. However, the metal ball could bite off a large piece of it with just one bite. It ate with a delicious sound. The metal ball ate a little slower. After half an hour, the metal ball finally destroyed the two divine artifacts. Its entire body glowed, and it had a satisfied expression on its face. This guy won't eat divine items often in the future, right? Thinking of this, Lu Ming's face darkened. Each divine item was expensive. If he continued eating like this, he would definitely go bankrupt. However, thinking that the metal ball would level up if it ate too much, Lu Ming's heart began to burn. As long as there were enough metal materials and weapons for the metal ball to eat, the metal ball would continue to level up. It would be of great help to him in the future. Let's eat some low-grade ones first. I'll think of something. Lu Ming pondered. Then he took out some of the refining materials he had collected over the years. He had collected too many refining materials over the years. In the past, he had given some to the Dragon League for them to refine, but there were still a lot left. However, their grades were not high. Although he had only taken out a portion of it, it was still piled up like a small mountain. Seeing so many metal materials, the metal ball's eyes lit up. It pounced into the pile of materials and began to eat them in big bites. In the next half a month, Lu Ming stabilized his realm while observing the metal ball's situation. In this half a month, the metal ball had eaten almost all of the refining materials Lu Ming had collected. However, the metal ball showed no signs of leveling up. It seems that the grade of the refining materials is too low. They can't provide enough energy for the metal ball. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming guessed that after the metal ball swallowed the materials, it would be able to absorb the spiritual essence of the materials to level up. Only when it had absorbed enough spiritual essence would it be able to evolve and level up. To the metal ball, which was already at level 2 empty god realm, the energy contained in the low-level crafting material was too little. What should I do? Do I have to keep feeding the weapon? How can I afford to feed it? Lu Ming sighed. Wait. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If he couldn't afford to feed the weapon, then he would feed the weapon fragments. In the chaotic universe, there were countless people killing each other every day. There were also countless people who went to various forbidden lands, dangerous lands and unknown planets to take risks. Every day there would be magical weapons that would break. When the weapons broke, there would be magical fragments. The metal ball only needed the spiritual essence of the metals. In that case, eating the magical fragments was the same as eating the weapons. However, the price of the magical fragments was much cheaper than the weapons. The price of the magical fragments was even cheaper than refining materials of the same grade. This was because refining materials could be used to refine weapons directly. However, if he wanted to use the magical fragments again, he would have to extract the materials from the magical fragments first. However, when refining a god artifact, all kinds of different materials were completely intertwined and mixed together. It was very difficult to extract them. The cost of labor was also high. This resulted in the price of the magical fragments not being very high. Let's go and buy the magical fragments. Ah. At the thought of this, Lu Ming was overjoyed. He grabbed the metal ball and walked out. The metal ball was like a lump of liquid metal. At this moment, it moved along Lu Ming's palm and turned into a golden bracelet. It was worn on Lu Ming's wrist. Not bad, this is not bad. Lu Ming was overjoyed. It turned into a bracelet on his wrist to avoid attracting attention. Let me give you a name. Lu Ming said as he looked at the bracelet on his wrist. A pair of eyes appeared on the bracelet and looked at Lu Ming expectantly. You're so round like a ball. I'll call you Qiuqiu. What do you think? Don't you think it sounds nice? Lu Ming said. The blinking eyes of the metal ball seemed to like the name. Dandan, Bubbles, Qiuqiu. Lu Ming thought of Dandan, Bubbles and the others and smiled inwardly. He was quite satisfied with his ability to come up with names. Outside, Lu Ming soared into the air. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the place where the righteous army traded their treasures. Chapter 2601. Half an hour later, Lu Ming walked out of the place where the righteous Sky Army traded their treasures with a frown. He had bought some fragments of divine artifacts but not a lot. It was only equivalent to 10 divine artifacts, and they were all low-grade divine artifacts. He had spent 200 divine gems. These fragments aren't enough. Where should I buy them? Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming. Suddenly a crisp voice sounded. Lu Ming looked up and saw Tong Shi. Lu Ming, are you here to buy treasures? Tong Shi flew over with a smile. Yes, but I'm here to buy some fragments of divine artifacts. However, there aren't enough fragments here. Lu Ming said. Buy fragments of divine artifacts? Tong Shi's eyes flickered as she thought of the metal ball. The righteous Sky Army isn't big and they lack powerful refining materials, so they don't have many fragments. Even if they have fragments, they won't sell them here. Tong Shi explained. Oh, Miss Shi, where can I buy a large number of fragments? Lu Ming asked. If you want to buy a large number of fragments, you can only go to Cloud Peak City. Tong Shi said. Cloud Peak City, you mean Cloud Peak City where the Cloud Peak Pavilion is located? Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he said. The chaotic galaxy was extremely vast, and there were many planets with life. In addition, there were many planets without life. There were countless planets of different sizes. Therefore, there were many forces of different sizes. For example, there were at least 800 if not 1,000 forces like the Righteous Sky Army and the Yuan Luo Palace. However, among the many forces in the chaotic galaxy, the most powerful force was undoubtedly the Cloud Peak Pavilion. This was because the Cloud Peak Pavilion had a heavenly god. There were many forces in the chaotic galaxy, but only the Cloud Peak Pavilion had a heavenly god. It was undoubtedly the most powerful force. Cloud Peak City, where the Cloud Peak Pavilion was located, was the most prosperous place in the chaotic Star River. There were many things that one could buy here. Yes, I'm also going to Cloud Peak City to buy some pills to break through to the next realm. We can go together. Tong Shi said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. When he went to Cloud Peak City, he also wanted to sell a good weapon. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been using the divine artifact battle sword that White Fang had given him. However, after using it for a long time, Lu Ming still felt that the spear was more comfortable. Although cultivating the battle character secret art would allow one to use any weapon with ease, Lu Ming had only started cultivating not long ago. He had started using a spear, so he was used to using a spear. Furthermore, White Fang's divine artifact battle sword was only a low-grade third-tier divine artifact. It was still a bit low-grade. Lu Ming wanted to buy a higher-grade spear. Just now, he had asked around in the righteous army, but he hadn't been able to find anyone suitable. Immediately, the two of them stepped onto the righteous army's teleportation array and rushed towards Cloud Peak City. Upright Sky Planet was very far away from Cloud Peak Planet, where Cloud Peak City was located. They had to cross the boundless starry sky. Even if they took a teleportation formation, they couldn't reach it in one go. They had to be teleported several times. Furthermore, with such a long teleportation, even if they took a teleportation formation, it would still take a long time. After 3 days of continuous teleportation, they finally arrived at Cloud Peak City. What a majestic city! Walking around the streets of Cloud Peak City, Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim. After coming to the primitive universe, Lu Ming finally felt that the primordial realm of the Heaven Realm was too small. The surface area of Dark Underworld Planet was equivalent to 10,000 Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm combined. The surface area of Upright Sky Planet was several times larger than Dark Underworld Planet. However, Cloud Peak Planet, where Cloud Peak City was located, was at least 10 times larger than Upright Sky Planet. Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm were simply dust compared to Cloud Peak Planet. Just the surface area of Cloud Peak City was probably equivalent to the surface area of hundreds of Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm combined. One could imagine how huge it was. Cloud Peak City was extraordinarily lively. All the major and minor forces in the chaotic galaxy could come here. The chaotic galaxy was very chaotic and killings could be seen everywhere. However, Cloud Peak City was an exception. Cloud Peak Pavilion had a rule that Cloud Peak City was a place for business and killing was not allowed. If one wanted to kill, one would have to go to a specific battle stage. Whoever disobeyed the rule would be hunted down by Cloud Peak Pavilion. Hence, Cloud Peak City was very safe. This was the only way to attract countless people to do business, to trade, to buy, or to sell treasures. If it wasn't safe, who would dare to come here if they could kill and steal treasures at any time? Hence, the two of them were more at ease and strolled around casually. 2 days later, the two of them came to the biggest market in Cloud Peak City. There was a sea of people and shops. There were all kinds of shops. Refining materials, various divine elixirs, sacred weapons, and sky treasures were available. There were even divine skills for sale. Lu Ming went in to take a look. The prices were shockingly high. Even the lowest level 1 divine skill was not something that Lu Ming could afford. It started at least tens of thousands of divine gems. At a divine elixir shop, Tong Shi-er bought the divine elixir that she needed. She had accumulated enough. When she returned, she would be able to break through to level 2 Empty God Realm. Then they came to a sacred weapon shop. "Sir, how can I help you?" Immediately, a beautiful young lady came up to them. "Hello, I am looking for a long spear sacred weapon." Lu Ming smiled. "A long spear sacred weapon? What grade do you need? I can recommend it to you." The young lady smiled. "A lower rank 5 sacred weapon or above." Lu Ming said. "All right, please follow me." The young lady brought Lu Ming to a room. There were all kinds of long spears sacred weapons hanging in the room. This is a lower rank 5 sacred weapon, Hurricane Spear. It costs 3,000 divine gems. This is a lower rank 6 sacred weapon, Roaring Flame Spear. It costs 7,000 divine gems. The young lady introduced the items to Lu Ming. "What an expensive price!" Lu Ming exclaimed. A lower rank 5 sacred weapon cost 3,000 divine gems. A lower rank sacred weapon corresponded to a Void God Realm. Generally, Void God Realm people used lower rank sacred weapons. True God Realm people used middle rank sacred weapons. So on and so forth. Divine King Realm people used supreme rank sacred weapons. One had to know that hunting for Metal Beast Cores and Myriad Gold Star, a level 5 Void God Realm Wild Beast Core was only worth 80 divine gems. But a lower rank 5 sacred weapon Long Spear cost 3,000 divine gems. Of course, refining a sacred weapon, the refining materials used could not be just one type. It required a combination of many materials and also the refining cost. In the end, Lu Ming chose a lower rank 6 sacred weapon Long Spear Meteor Spear. It cost 7,000 divine gems. These divine gems aren't enough. Lu Ming sighed. Previously, when he broke through to 4-star Heavenly Emperor, he used around 5,000 divine gems. Now he spent another 7,000. 40,000 divine gems, only 28,000 remained. Chapter 2602. Miss, do you have divine weapon fragments for sale here? Lu Ming put away the meteor spear and asked again. Of course we do. What grade of divine weapon fragments do you need? Different grades of divine weapon fragments have different prices. The young woman said. Low-tier divine artifact shards. Any grade will do. Lu Ming said. Then, with the young woman's introduction, Lu Ming bought a large number of divine weapon fragments. As expected of Cloud Peak City, there were so many divine weapon fragments here that they could be piled up like a mountain. Moreover, the price was indeed cheap. Not to mention divine weapons, it was much cheaper than divine weapon materials. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and spent another 10,000 divine gems to buy a large number of divine gems of various grades. It was enough for Qiu to eat for a while. Lu Ming's divine gems shrunk again, leaving him with only 18,000 divine gems. I have to think of a way to earn some divine gems. Lu Ming muttered. 18,000 divine gems were simply not enough for him. As his cultivation increased, he would need even more divine gems when he broke through in the future. The two had bought everything they needed. They walked out of the shop and planned to take the teleportation formation back. Tong Shi, and you brat? Suddenly an ear-piercing and resentful voice sounded. Lu Ming turned around to take a look. He could not help but reveal a cold smile at the corners of his lips. What a coincidence, he ran into an old acquaintance. Behind him were two young men. One of them was the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long. At this moment, Kong Long was staring at Lu Ming with resentment. Back then, he had been captured by Lu Ming and handed over to the righteous army as a hostage. This matter was a great humiliation to him. He hated Lu Ming to the core and always wanted to take revenge on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was hiding in the righteous army and he could not do anything. He did not expect to meet him in Cloud Peak City. Kong Long Sidushao. Tong Shir's eyes flashed as she recognized the two. Brat, I'll tear you to pieces sooner or later. Kong Long's eyes were cold and full of cold killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming. If it wasn't for the fact that killing was prohibited in Cloud Peak City, he would have killed Lu Ming long ago. A loser like you dares to spout nonsense here? Who doesn't know how to brag? Lu Ming glanced at Kong Long, full of contempt. You. As soon as Kong Long thought about being captured and imprisoned by Lu Ming for several months, his anger soared to the heavens and he gnashed his teeth. Seeing Lu Ming's contemptuous look, he wished he could slap Lu Ming to death. Boom. A powerful aura erupted from Kong Long's body and pressed down on Lu Ming. Level 1 Empty God Realm. It was apparent that Kong Long had broken through to Empty God Realm from Demigod. The commotion attracted the attention of the passers-by, who looked over to watch the show. You want to fight? Come on. Lu Ming hooked his finger. He didn't believe that Kong Long would dare to fight in Cloud Peak City. If he did, he would be digging his own grave. Brat, I'll challenge you to a fight in the fighting ring. Kong Long stared at Lu Ming angrily. You? Loser, I'm not interested. Lu Ming curled his lips and Kong Long was furious. After taking a few deep breaths, Kong Long forced himself to calm down and said, You're the one who doesn't dare. Previously, he had been defeated by Lu Ming because he had been careless. Now that he had broken through to level 1 Empty God Realm, his combat strength had increased tremendously. He was confident that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. You don't have to provoke me. I'm not interested in a loser. If there's nothing else, get out of my way. Lu Ming waved his hand casually. He was telling the truth. Kong Long's cultivation was only at level 1 Empty God Realm and he could suppress him easily. He was not interested. However, Lu Ming kept calling him a loser. In Kong Long's ears, this was simply the greatest insult to him. Kong Long's face turned red and he gritted his teeth. Since you're not going to fight with Brother Kong, I'll challenge you. Do you dare to fight? At this moment, the young man beside Kong Long spoke. He had a fair complexion and he was fanning himself with a fan in his hand. He had a confident smile on his face. Lu Ming, this is the young sect leader of Walkabout Sect, Situ Shao. He's at level 2 Empty God Realm. Tong Shi sent a message to Lu Ming. Walkabout Sect was a force that was similar to Yuan Luo Hall and the Jingtian military. You want to challenge me? Lu Ming looked at Situ Shao. That's right. Do you dare? If you don't, I won't make things difficult for you. Situ Shao said with a fake smile. To be honest, I'm not interested in you either. With your cultivation, I can suppress you easily. Lu Ming curled his lips. Situ Zhao's eyelids twitched and he stopped fanning himself. A cold killing intent shot out from his eyes. Lu Ming actually said that he could suppress him with a flip of his hand? What a joke. He could clearly feel that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. A transformation void martial stage martial artist dared to speak so arrogantly. He was simply courting death. However, if you dare to make a bet with me, I can fight with you. Lu Ming paused for a moment and continued. Bet? Oh. Sidu Shao asked. 20,000 divine gems. Each of us will take out 20,000 divine gems. Whoever wins will take the other party's 20,000 divine gems. How about that? Lu Ming said. 20,000 divine gems. Situ Zhao's face changed slightly. 20,000 divine gems was not a small amount. What? You don't dare to bet? Then forget it. Lu Ming's face was full of contempt as he turned around to leave. I'll bet 20,000 divine gems. Sidu Shao said. He did not think that he would lose at all. Hence, he agreed without hesitation. All right. Let's go to the fighting ring. Lu Ming said. Immediately, Lu Ming, Tong Shi Kong Long, and Situ Shao headed to the fighting ring nearby. Let's go and have a look. That young man is only at the transformation void martial stage. He dares to challenge a level 2 empty god realm genius. Interesting. The people nearby followed Lu Ming and the others. Soon they arrived at a fighting ring nearby. The fighting ring was surrounded by people. Take out 20,000 divine gems. I need a middleman to prevent you from reneging on your debt. Lu Ming looked at Situ Shao. How can I lose? Ridiculous. Situ Shao sneered. That's hard to say. How would you know if we haven't fought? Lu Ming smiled faintly. He then looked around and said, which senior can be the middleman? I'll do it. A silver-haired elder walked out and a powerful aura exuded from his body. Level 9 empty god realm. Many people's faces changed. In the chaotic galaxy, a true god realm expert was definitely an expert. A level 9 empty god realm expert was the backbone of many forces. All right. Thank you, senior. Lu Ming handed a storage ring to the silver-haired elder. There were 20,000 divine gems in the ring. Lu Ming did not have enough divine gems to pay 20,000 divine gems. On the way, he borrowed another 2,000 from Tong Shi. Chapter 2603. That's good too. Sidu Shao snorted. He took out a storage ring and passed it to the silver-haired elder. The silver-haired elder scanned the storage ring with his spiritual senses and said, there are 20,000 divine gems in each ring. The winner will get the divine gems. Young man, come up. Sidu Shao said coldly as he stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming flew onto the fighting ring and stood opposite Sidu Shao. That young man is only at the transformation void martial realm and he dares to challenge a level 2 empty god. Does he have something to rely on? I can't figure it out. The difference between the transformation void martial realm and the empty god realm is too big. Even if he is a supreme talent, it would be hard for him to challenge someone of a higher realm. His opponent is Situ Shao. I have heard that he is also a supreme talent with royal grade divine force. Does that mean that the young man is going to lose? I don't know. I can't figure it out either. Let's wait and see. Many people were discussing among themselves. However, most of them felt that Lu Ming was no match for Situ Shao. After all, the transformation void martial realm was the first step of cultivation and the empty god realm was the second step of cultivation. It was only a step away, but the difference was like heaven and earth. Unless he was a supreme talent, he would not be able to overcome it. However, the chaotic galaxy was such a small place. How could there be such a supreme talent? However, some of them felt that Lu Ming was confident. Since he dared to accept the challenge, he must have something to rely on. They were curious about what Lu Ming was relying on. Everyone stared at the two of them on the fighting ring. Young man, I will make you kneel down in 3 moves. There was a strong murderous intent in Situ Zhao's eyes. His figure swayed and he appeared in front of Lu Ming like a fleeting shadow. He lifted one hand and pressed it down. Divine power whizzed and pressed toward Lu Ming like a mountain. He wanted to force Lu Ming to kneel down on the spot. Situ Shao was full of confidence. He was a supreme talent and he had royal-grade divine force. His strength was much stronger than those at the same level as him. Even a level 2 empty god would not be able to withstand his attack. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change. He pointed his finger like a sword and stabbed it towards Situ Zhao's palm. You are courting death. Then I'll break your fingers. Situ Shao grinned malevolently and added more strength. Bang! Lu Ming's finger collided with Situ Zhao's palm, causing a violent explosion. Forced chi spread out in all directions, and a figure was forced to retreat 5 or 6 steps before he could stabilize himself. The one who retreated was naturally Situ Shao. How is this possible? Many people around them were shocked. Lu Ming actually repelled Situ Xiao in one move. This simply exceeded everyone's expectations. It was unbelievable that a transformation void martial stage martial artist could defeat a level 2 void god stage genius with one move. Situ Xiao probably underestimated his opponent and didn't use his full strength, but this is still extremely shocking. Someone sighed. At this moment Situ Xiao was also extremely shocked. His palm was pierced by Lu Ming's finger and he felt waves of pain. Earlier he had indeed underestimated his opponent. He had only used 70% of his strength, but it was still extremely shocking. One had to know that he was in control of king-grade divine power. This brat is a demon. Today I'll destroy him. Situ Xiao roared in his heart. He unleashed all of his strength and charged towards Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming was fearless. He unleashed all of his strength as well. His entire body was filled with dazzling purplish gold radiance as he charged towards Situ Xiao. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them clashed continuously and fought fiercely. For a moment, it was hard to determine the victor. Although Situ Xiao's cultivation level was at level 2 void god stage, his divine power was king-grade divine power. It was extremely dense and his attack power was strong. His strength was enough to fight against a level 3 void god stage existence. As for Lu Ming, he was a 4-star heavenly emperor. Without activating the battle character manual to double his combat power, he could also fight against a level 3 void god stage existence. Hence, for a moment it was hard to determine the victor. It seems like there's a difference in strength between king-grade divine power. As they fought, Lu Ming pondered. Tong Shi also controlled king-grade divine power. However, Lu Ming felt that Tong Xia was stronger than Situ Xiao when they were at the same level. There was a difference in strength between king-grade divine power. Bam, bam, bam. The two of them exchanged more than 10 blows, but it was still hard to determine the victor. How can this be? How can he be so strong? Situ Xiao roared in his heart. At that moment he was anxious. He no longer wanted to make Lu Ming kneel down. He only wanted to win. Otherwise, the 20,000 divine gems would be gone. Below the fighting ring, the one who was most shocked was Kong Long. His face was pale without a trace of blood. He could not stop muttering, "How can this be? How can this brat be so strong? Damn it, D****. At the same time he was scared. Luckily, Lu Ming did not agree to fight with him. Otherwise he would lose badly. I hope Situ Xiao can defeat him. Kong Long prayed in his heart. It was a pity that his wish was destined to fail. Is this all you've got? Let's end this. Lu Ming's voice resounded. At the same time his power suddenly surged. The battle character manual had activated the double combat strength. After activating the double combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength was enough to fight with a level 4 empty god realm martial artist. Situ Xiao was no match for him. Boom. Lu Ming threw out a punch. The terrifying force of the punch was like an avalanche as it pressed down on Situ Xiao. Crack. Situ Xiao's arm was broken by Lu Ming's punch. Situ Xiao's body retreated and he vomited blood. Bam. Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to attack. Situ Xiao took out his sacred weapon to counterattack. However, he was sent flying by Lu Ming in a few moves. Kneel down. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He lifted his hand and pressed it down. The sovereign's power formed a huge palm and pressed down on Situ Xiao. Situ Xiao roared and resisted with all his might. However, he was no match for Lu Ming. He could not block Lu Ming's power. Boom. A powerful force acted on Situ Xiao's body. His body arched and with a loud thud, he knelt on the ground in front of Lu Ming. Situ Xiao roared like a madman. He, the dignified walkabout sect young lord, was actually kneeling in front of Lu Ming. He was so mad that he could not wait to grind Lu Ming's bones into dust. What are you shouting for? A defeat is a defeat. What's the use of shouting? Lu Ming shouted. Situ Xiao's body was sent flying out of the fighting stage. He vomited blood and could not get up for a long time. Lu Ming did not kill Situ Xiao because there was no need to. Furthermore, if he really did kill Situ Xiao, the walkabout sect would probably go crazy and attack the righteous army with all their might. Defeated, Situ Xiao was defeated. A transformation void martial artist can defeat a level 2 empty god realm genius. How is this possible? Sovereign's power. It's the sovereign's power. He controls the sovereign's power. What? It's the sovereign's power. No wonder. The scene was noisy. Many people recognized Lu Ming's power. It was the sovereign's power. Chapter 2604. Once the sovereign power was converted into divine power, it would be the sovereign divine power. This was a divine power. Even in the vast chaotic universe, it was a rare divine power. It had never appeared in the chaotic galaxy before. Now, there was actually someone who could control the sovereign power. No wonder it's so terrifying. He can actually defeat an empty god realm martial artist as a transformation void martial artist. This is too shocking. The sovereign power. Which superpower is he from? It's a pity that his cultivation is too low. Otherwise it would be terrifying. Many people looked at Lu Ming, their eyes filled with shock. I was still recognized. Lu Ming himself was speechless. When he fought just now, he had already done some tricks to hide it. However, he was still recognized as the sovereign power. The main reason was that once the sovereign power was used, its characteristics were too obvious. It was easy to be recognized. It seems like I still have to find a way to hide the characteristics of the sovereign power. Otherwise, I will be recognized the moment I fight. It will be too eye-catching. Lu Ming thought to himself. Before he was strong enough, it was not a good thing to attract too much attention. Sometimes, it might even lead to a fatal disaster. Senior, I won. Lu Ming walked towards the silver-haired old man. Little brother, you are really a rare talent. If there's a chance, I will treat you to a drink. The silver-haired old man smiled and took out 2 storage rings and passed them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took them and smiled. I still have things to do now. If there's a chance in the future, I will treat you to a drink. After exchanging some pleasantries, Lu Ming and Tong Shi-er left the place together. Lu Ming, I will definitely take revenge. Below the fighting ring, Situ Xiao struggled to get up. He looked in the direction that Lu Ming had left. His face was pale and filled with resentment. Lu Ming and Tong Shi-er did not stop. They went to the transportation array of Cloud Peak City and headed towards Upright Star. After a few days, Lu Ming returned to Upright Star. This time he had won 20,000 divine gems from Situ Xiao. Lu Ming was in a good mood. This trip to Cloud Peak City was not in vain. Lu Ming now had 38,000 divine crystals, which was a few thousand more than he had before. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming took out a pile of divine tool fragments for Qiuqiu to eat. Qiuqiu was immediately excited. It hugged a large pile of divine artifact fragments and munched happily. At this time, Lu Ming looked in a certain direction. There was a powerful aura coming from that direction. A huge tortoise appeared in the air, surrounded by countless runes. Dandan. With that, Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on top of a mansion in the city. This mansion used to be Dandan's residence. Dandan was trying to break through to the martial god realm. It had been cultivating in seclusion since it came to the primitive universe. Now it was finally beginning to break through. Big brother Lu Ming. A figure flashed and Bubble appeared beside Lu Ming. It grabbed Lu Ming's hand and shook it with all its might. After not seeing it for a while, Bubble's cultivation had improved a lot. It had already reached the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Needless to say, Bubble's talent was definitely top-notch. Furthermore, the cultivation environment in the primitive universe was too good. In addition, Lu Ming had given some resources to it. It was normal for its cultivation level to improve by leaps and bounds. However, after so many years, Bubble still looked like a 6 or 7-year-old. Its growth speed was shockingly slow. Whoosh, whoosh. Figures appeared nearby. They were all attracted by Dandan's breakthrough. This old tortoise actually broke through faster than us. The Titan Longhorn Beetle sighed. Qing Tsang, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm and the others also sighed. They had broken through to the demigod realm around the same time as Dandan. However, they were still some distance away from the martial god realm. On the other hand, Dandan had already broken through. Boom. In Dandan's mansion, the aura was even stronger. A huge tortoise figure was suspended in the air. Between heaven and earth, endless energy gathered towards Dandan. This guy's breakthrough is really big. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Although the commotion caused by Dandan's breakthrough wasn't as great as Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's, it was much greater than other breakthroughs. The world turtle originally came from the primitive universe. It is indeed extraordinary. At this moment, ancestral Gragon also appeared not far away. The world turtle came from the primitive universe? Lu Ming was puzzled. Titan Longhorn, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, Qing Tsang, and the others also looked at ancestral Gragon curiously. They did not know about this. That's right. Ancestral Gragon nodded and said, back then most of the top 10 battle beasts in the heaven realm were mutations of various divine beast races. They had unique talents, but there were also a few that came from the primitive universe. The world turtle was one of them. The other one is this little guy. Ancestral Gragon then looked at Bubbles. Bubbles also came from the primitive universe? Lu Ming muttered. In addition to these two, the Holy Spirit ant also came from the primitive universe. Unfortunately, it fell in the ancient war. Ancestral Gragon sighed. At this moment, Dandan's aura was even more shocking. It was like a black hole, absorbing the divine chi from the outside. The divine chi is not enough. Go. Lu Ming immediately realized that Dandan's breakthrough was not enough to absorb the divine chi from the outside. He immediately waved his hand and 3,000 divine gems flew towards Dandan. The divine gems shattered and turned into divine chi, which was absorbed by Dandan. After absorbing the divine gems, Dandan's aura reached its peak. Then it retracted it. Haha, I've finally broken through and reached the martial god realm. A savage voice was heard. Dandan soared into the sky with divine force all over its body. It was insufferably arrogant. It felt like it was filled with an inexhaustible amount of energy. It glanced around and saw Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, come. Fight with me. I won't let you surpass me. I'll show you how powerful I am. Dandan shouted arrogantly. Oh sure. Lu Ming bared his teeth and smiled. He stepped into the air and slapped him. A purple gold giant hand was formed and pressed down on Dandan. Ah, Lu Ming, you. As soon as Lu Ming struck, Dandan's expression changed. She tried her best to resist, but it was useless. The big hand pressed down and Dandan fell to the ground like a meteorite, stirring up dust in the air. Ah, Lu Ming, you tricked me. In the next moment, Dandan rushed out with a dusty face. It was as pathetic as it could be. Ah. The Titan Longhorn Beetle and the others were laughing and crying. You're the one who wanted to fight with me. Lu Ming said innocently. You pervert. Dandan held back for a long time before he could say that. He originally thought that after his breakthrough, his strength had skyrocketed, and the divine force he controlled was extraordinary. He thought that he could compete with Lu Ming. Now it seemed that he was completely wrong. He made up his mind that unless he was completely confident, he would never fight with Lu Ming again. Old Turtle, aren't you going to treat us to a drink after breaking through to the martial god realm? Let's go and drink. Ching Tsung, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, and the others pulled Dandan and asked him to treat them to a drink. As the strength of the people coming out of the heavenly realm became stronger, everyone felt a lot more relaxed. Chapter 2605. When he returned to his residence, he saw that Qiuqiu was still gnawing on a pile of divine item fragments. The divine item fragments weren't ordinary, so Qiuqiu naturally didn't digest them that quickly. Moreover, every time it ate, it would have to stop and digest them. Lu Ming didn't bother with Qiuqiu and cultivated by himself. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Qiuqiu had eaten all of the divine item fragments Lu Ming had bought. It had finally evolved once more, and its cultivation base had risen to the 3rd level of the Void God realm. However, Lu Ming didn't have any more divine item fragments to give it, so he could only give it some ordinary metal-attributed refining materials. As for Lu Ming, he continued to cultivate. Just like that, 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. After cultivating bitterly for 5 years, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. His cultivation base had risen again, and he had become a 5-star heavenly emperor. Of course, he had also used over 10,000 divine crystals. In addition, his comprehension of the battle character art had become deeper and deeper. Now, when he used the battle character art, the increase in his attack power had become greater and greater. Moreover, the chances of activating the battle character art had become higher and higher. On average, he could succeed after activating it twice. However, the battle character art seemed to have reached a bottleneck at this point. Lu Ming hadn't made any progress in a while. Just cultivating bitterly isn't enough. I still need to go out and temper myself. Lu Ming thought to himself as he ended his cultivation. If he didn't encounter a bottleneck and cultivated bitterly, it was fine. However, once he encountered a bottleneck, just cultivating bitterly wasn't very effective. Cultivating and tempering oneself required killing to trigger inspiration and make a breakthrough. This was also the reason why many people would go out and adventure. Not only could they obtain fortuitous encounters, but they could also temper themselves and break through bottlenecks. Let's go take a look at the righteous army. Lu Ming walked out and headed towards the righteous army. No one stopped him when he arrived at the righteous army's headquarters. Although Lu Ming and the others hadn't officially joined the righteous army already treated them as part of it. There was a mission hall in the righteous army's headquarters. Actually, most factions would have a mission hall like this. Senior, are there any people who are suitable for the empty god realm? Lu Ming came to a counter and asked a white-haired old man. Recently, the most important task is naturally the battle with the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect. The white-haired old man said. Yuan Luo Palace and Walkabout sect? Lu Ming frowned slightly. That's right. In the past few years, the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect have joined forces to attack some of the vital planets controlled by our righteous army. Our righteous army has also been sending experts to fight against them. Anyone who kills a member of the Yuan Luo Palace or the Walkabout sect will be rewarded, the white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Free and Unfettered sect are joining hands? Could it be that it was caused by me beating up that Situ Shao last time? Lu Ming couldn't help but think so. The Walkabout sect has long wanted to join forces with the Yuan Luo Palace to deal with the righteous Sky Army. Sure enough, they've made their move. Little guy, do you want to accept this mission? If you do, I'll register you. The white-haired old man asked. Alright, then I'll accept this mission. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that the two forces weren't attacking him because he had beaten up Situ Shao, but because the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect had long planned to join forces. Soon the old man finished the formalities for Lu Ming. I've registered you. Recently, many people have accepted this mission. Tomorrow morning, gather with the others and head to northern Shang planet. The white-haired old man gave Lu Ming a black iron token. Lu Ming took it and left. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The next morning, Lu Ming returned to the mission hall. Those who are going to northern Shang planet to carry out a mission, gather here. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, he heard someone shouting in the mission hall. Lu Ming walked over. Brother, are you going to northern Shang planet to carry out a mission? A large man looked at Lu Ming. Yes. Lu Ming took out the black iron token. Alright, then we'll wait here first. When almost everyone is here, we'll set off. The large man said. Lu Ming nodded and walked to the side. As time passed, more and more people gathered. Half an hour later, more than 200 people had gathered here. They were all going to northern Shang planet to carry out a mission. They were all in the Void God realm. Alright, almost everyone is here. Let's go. The large man said. Everyone headed toward the teleportation array. A teleportation array couldn't teleport so many people at once. They had to take turns. Groups of people went up and stepped into the teleportation array, disappearing from the array. Soon it was Lu Ming's turn. Lu Ming also stepped into the teleportation array. The next moment he appeared on a flat ground. This is an island. As soon as he appeared, Lu Ming heard the sound of waves crashing from all directions. There was also a salty sea breeze blowing over. He felt refreshed. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. He found that this was indeed an island. The island wasn't big. At a glance, he could see the boundless ocean. Soon, everyone passed through the teleportation array. Follow me. Let's go to 7 Stars Island first and then we'll assign the specific missions. Also, I'll explain the current situation of northern Shang planet to you on the way. The large man said. Everyone followed the large man and flew out of the island toward the vast ocean. The large man's name was Pan Jiang. He had been guarding northern Shang planet. This time he had specially gone to pick them up. On the way, Pan Jiang introduced the current situation of northern Shang planet. The situation of northern Shang planet was rather special. It was located at the intersection of the Jingtian army and the Yuan Luo palace. Therefore, northern Shang planet had become a place that both forces had to fight over. Therefore, half of northern Shang planet was occupied by the Jingtian army and the Yuan Luo palace. The mainland and the ocean each occupied 50% of northern Shang planet. The Jingtian army occupied the ocean and islands of northern Shang planet and exploited the resources in the ocean. On the other hand, the Yuan Luo palace occupied the mainland part of northern Shang planet and exploited the resources there. The two sides often fought and killed each other. Experts of the Jingtian army would often sneak into the mainland of northern Shang planet to kill people of the Yuan Luo palace and seize the resources there. Sometimes, people of the Yuan Luo palace would sneak into the islands of the ocean to kill experts of the Jingtian army. In short, the fighting between the two sides had never stopped. However, in the past 2 years, the Yuan Luo palace had increased their forces on northern Shang planet. The fighting between the two sides had become more frequent. The Jingtian army had also been increasing their forces on northern Shang planet. 7 Stars Island was the headquarters of the Jingtian army on northern Shang planet. They flew across the vast ocean and passed by many islands. 3 days later they finally arrived at Seven Stars Island. Seven Stars Island was incomparably large. Although it was called an island, it was no different from a mainland. At least from Lu Ming's point of view, Seven Stars Island was no smaller than the Grand Clear Sky domain in the Heaven domain. There were many people coming and going on Seven Stars Island. All of them were experts. At a glance, there were at least a few thousand people and all of them were Void God Realm experts. Lu Ming was inwardly shocked. There were so many experts on Seven Stars Island. One could imagine the strength of the entire Jingtian army. Chapter 2606. One had to know that the Jingtian army had occupied more than a dozen planets with life. There were also some planets that had no living beings but were guarded by experts who were mining resources. How many empty God Realm experts were there in the Jingtian army? There were probably tens of thousands of them. In the entire chaotic galaxy, there were at least 800 forces that were not weaker than or stronger than the Jingtian army. It was hard to count how many empty God Realm experts there were in the chaotic galaxy. No wonder the primitive universe was also called the Divine World, the world of the gods. They stopped at an empty space on the Seven Stars Island. Wait for me here. I'll go ask where we're going to station. After Pan Jiang finished speaking, he flew into a large hall. Soon Pan Jiang came out of the hall and said, "The island we're going to station is Qinjindao. Follow me." Pan Jiang took the lead and flew in a direction. Everyone followed. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the situation of Qinjindao. Qinjindao was north of the Seven Stars Island. It was an island with veins. There was a larger vein of Qinjindao on the island. Qinjindao was a kind of refining metal. Although it was not very precious or rare, it had a wide range of uses. Normally, when refining low-grade divine weapons, a portion of Qinjindao would be added as a supplementary material to increase the toughness of the divine weapon. Therefore, Qinjindao was often attacked by the Yuan Luo Palace. Qinjindao originally had 600 empty God Realm experts guarding it. But now, with 600 empty God Realm experts, it was getting more and more difficult to defend it. Therefore they needed reinforcements. They were here to reinforce Qinjindao. A day later they arrived at Qinjindao. Qinjindao was not very big. There was a large vein on it. There were caves around the ore vein. Each cave was guarded by an empty God Realm expert. In the ore vein, there were tens of thousands of living beings below the empty God Realm who were mining day and night. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they were naturally received and assigned caves. Soon Lu Ming was assigned a cave. It was quite spacious and the divine qi was quite dense. Lu Ming was just about to sit down and rest. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly the sound of war drums came from outside. Enemy attack, enemy attack. Loud roars echoed throughout the entire island. What a coincidence! Lu Ming was also a little speechless. They had just arrived and they had already encountered an enemy attack. Without much time to think, Lu Ming rushed out of the cave in a flash. Boom, 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 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Deafening booms came from the sky above the island. Saber light and sword light illuminated the sky. Divine power of various colors collided in the sky. Many people were already fighting intensely. Kill. Lu Ming soared into the sky, charging towards a big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs. Each of them came here with a black iron command medallion, which was both a mission medallion and an identity medallion. It was bound to their life aura. Once they died, the black iron command medallion would shatter. They could distinguish each other's identity through the aura emitted by this black iron token. This way it would be easy to tell if they were from the Yuan Luo Palace. Brat, a transformation void martial realm dares to fight with me. I will eat you. The big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs charged towards Lu Ming. His aura was not weak as he was at level 2 empty God Realm. Boom. Lu Ming activated the battle character secret art to double his combat strength. At the same time he took out the meteor spear and thrust it out. The meteor spear seemed to have turned into a meteor, flashing past. The big man with a wide mouth and sharp fangs was pierced through and he died on the spot. Kill. Lu Ming held the meteor spear and charged towards another expert from the Yuan Luo Palace. That expert was at level 3 empty God Realm, but he could not withstand Lu Ming's spear and was stabbed to death by Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to a 5-star heavenly emperor, his combat strength had increased by another level. When Lu Ming was a 4-star heavenly emperor with the battle character secret art, he could fight against a level 4 empty God Realm expert. Given Lu Ming's current cultivation level, coupled with the double combat power of the battle word sutra, Lu Ming was able to kill a level 4 void god. Of course, if he were to fight against a level 5 empty god realm expert, he might not be a match. The main thing was that every time a heavenly emperor's cultivation increased by 1 level, it would not be as long as the empty god realm. If he wanted to fight against a level 5 empty god realm existence, Lu Ming would need to break through to a 6-star heavenly emperor. Brat, you are courting death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed 2 people in a row, a purple-skinned big man targeted Lu Ming and charged towards Lu Ming. Rip. The purple-skinned big man used a pair of halberds. When he waved them around, the power was terrifying. Peak level 4 empty god realm, come at me. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He waved his meteor spear and charged over. The long spear vibrated and rays of dazzling spear radiance burst out, fighting with the purple-skinned big man. Dang. The two of them fought wildly, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Phew, the purple-skinned big man could not resist and was suppressed by Lu Ming. He kept retreating. How is this possible? The purple-skinned big man was shocked. Lu Ming was only at the transformation void realm. How could he have such strong combat strength? The purple-skinned big man was at the peak level 4 empty god realm, but he was not a match for Lu Ming. Instead, he was suppressed by Lu Ming. It was like a fantasy story. The purple-skinned big man burst out crazily and waved his halberd wildly, fighting with Lu Ming. Not enough, not strong enough. Lu Ming muttered to himself. His long spear did not stop, forcing the purple-skinned big man to retreat. A level 4 empty god realm martial artist could not give Su Mo too much pressure. It was of limited use to him in training. Bam. After a few more blows, the purple-skinned big man was hit by Lu Ming's long spear. He retreated and vomited blood. Die. Lu Ming said coldly and stabbed his spear towards the purple-skinned big man's forehead. The speed was unbelievably fast. Not good. The purple-skinned big man was shocked and retreated frantically. However, his speed could not keep up with Lu Ming's speed. Swoosh. At this moment, a snow-white blade radiance flashed. It was extremely fast and accurately hit Lu Ming's long spear. The long spear vibrated crazily and a terrifying blade energy followed Lu Ming's long spear and rushed towards Lu Ming's arm. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his palm as if it was about to be cut open. Lu Ming crazily unleashed the power of the master to block the saber force. In the next moment, a skinny old man with purple hair and 3 eyes appeared in front of the purple-skinned big man. Evil God Tribe. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This old man was very similar to the Evil God Tribe in the Evil God world. It was very likely that he was from the same tribe as the divine ancestor of the variant tribes. Lu Ming had looked up a lot of information in the Righteous Army and knew that there was a tribe in the primitive universe called the Three-Eyed Tribe. The Evil God Tribe might belong to the Three-Eyed Tribe. Chapter 2607. This burly man was obviously a member of the Three-Eyed Tribe. However, he was much more powerful than the divine ancestor. Level 5 empty god realm. Lu Ming muttered. The sovereign Tao. Lad, you must be the ant that escaped from the small thousand world. My tribesmen in that small thousand world have all died at your hands. Today I will turn you into ashes. The Three-Eyed Tribe elder's eyes were cold as he stepped out. Divine force surged as the war saber in his hand vibrated, forming a terrifying saber chi that pressed down on Lu Ming. Come on. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Level 5 empty god realm. Only such an expert could give him such a strong pressure. Lu Ming's sovereign Tao force and sovereign Tao force surged within his body. The meteor spear shone brightly, raising his combat strength to the maximum. Kill. The Three-Eyed Tribe elder roared as his war saber sliced through the air at an extremely fast speed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming brandished his long spear and met the attack head-on. Dang. In an instant, the two of them had exchanged more than 10 blows. Lu Ming felt that his opponent's saber chi was like an avalanche as it surged towards him in waves. The power was shocking. The long spear vibrated and his arm went numb. Lu Ming was pushed back by the force of the attack. Powerful. Level 5 empty god realm. I am no match for you. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Previously, he had estimated that he was no match for a level 5 empty god realm expert. Now that they had exchanged blows, he realized that the combat strength of a level 5 empty god realm expert had exceeded his expectations. The gap between each level of the empty god realm was huge. The higher the level, the greater the gap. However, this had stimulated his fighting spirit. Again? Lu Ming stepped into the air and merged with his long spear, turning into a ray of spear radiance that shot towards the three-eyed tribe elder. This lad! Shock flashed in the eyes of the old man from the three-eyed race. The killing intent in his heart intensified as he slashed out with his saber, aiming for Lu Ming. The two of them continued to fight. However, Lu Ming was no match for the old man. He was suppressed by the old man from the three-eyed race and kept retreating. However, Lu Ming's tenacity was amazing. He blocked the old man from the three-eyed race and it was not easy for the old man to kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Awesome, awesome. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Deep in his bones he was still fond of fighting. He longed to take risks and kill. At this moment, his blood was boiling once again. This kid is too terrifying. He must be eliminated. He must be eliminated. The more he fought, the more terrified he became. Lu Ming was too strong. He was only at the transformation void martial stage, but he actually had such a strong battle strength. Not to mention seeing it, he had never even heard of it. With such battle prowess, if he were to become a god, how terrifying would he be? Quick, attack with me and kill this kid. The old man from the three-eyed divine palace sent a message to the surrounding experts of the Yuanluo palace. At this moment, the sky above the Qin gold mine was filled with intense fighting. There were 600 to 700 people from the Yuanluo palace who had launched a sneak attack. They were all empty god realm experts and were locked in a fierce battle with the experts of the Jingtian army. There were many people fighting around Lu Ming and the old man from the three-eyed divine palace. Naturally, there were some experts who had noticed Lu Ming. Instantly, the experts from the Yuanluo palace shook off their opponents and charged towards Lu Ming. The experts of the Jingtian army wanted to stop them, but they could not catch up. At this moment, at least 3 experts charged towards Lu Ming. The 3 of them were all at the level 5 empty god realm. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 level 5 empty god realm experts attacked at the same time. Furthermore, the purple-skinned man that Lu Ming had previously suppressed was also included. With so many experts attacking at the same time, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to block them and would be killed instantly. Chiu Chiu. Lu Ming waved his hand and the bracelet on his wrist flew out. This bracelet was naturally formed by Chiu Chiu. Chiu Chiu flew out and rapidly expanded. Its liquid metal body started to wriggle and turned into a huge shield that blocked in front of Lu Ming. Dong, dong, boom, boom. All the attacks were blocked and Lu Ming was unharmed. Then Chiu Chiu's body moved and turned into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed towards the purple-skinned man's face. Poof. The purple-skinned man's body was like a watermelon that was smashed into pieces by Chiu Chiu. He died on the spot. Now that Chiu Chiu had advanced to the level 3 empty god realm, its combat strength had increased tremendously. When Chiu Chiu was at the level 1 empty god realm, it could already fight against a level 4 empty god realm expert. Now, it could even fight against a level 6 empty god realm expert. The purple-skinned man was only at the level 4 empty god realm and naturally could not block Chiu Chiu's attack. After killing the purple-skinned man, Chiu Chiu's body shot out and smashed towards a level 5 empty god realm expert. Bam! That expert was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. What kind of monster is this? The others felt their hair stand on end. This metal ball did not look like a divine weapon, but its power was shocking. A level 5 empty god realm expert was sent flying and spitting out blood. The power of the ball was too terrifying. Swoosh! The metal ball smashed towards the three-eyed holy tribe elder. Let's work together. The three-eyed holy tribe elder shouted. He and the other 3 level 5 empty god realm experts worked together and blasted out their strongest attack against Chiu Chiu. Boom! There was a loud boom. The three-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 level 5 empty god realm experts trembled violently and retreated. Blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. Chiu Chiu's current strength was comparable to a level 6 empty god realm expert. A level 6 empty god realm expert was much stronger than a level 5 empty god realm expert. Even if the three-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 joined forces, they could not block Chiu Chiu's attack. Chiu Chiu, continue. Lu Ming called out to Chiu Chiu. At the same time, he rushed over and attacked with all his might. His attacks were aimed at the injured level 5 empty god realm expert. Chiu Chiu also rushed out and swelled into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It bombarded the enemy continuously. At this moment, the experts of the Jingtian army had arrived and attacked the three-eyed holy tribe elder and the others. In this way they could not block the attacks. Instantly, the three-eyed holy tribe elder and the other 3 were injured. The one who was injured by Qiu was even more severely injured. Qiu, smash him. Lu Ming transmitted a message to Qiu. Boom. Qiu stared at the injured person and smashed him with all his might. The other party was already injured and could not block the attack. Half of his body exploded and he almost died. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? The meteor spear pierced through the body and killed the other party. Lu Ming used the sovereign's power and took the storage ring. Of course, the other party's weapon was also kept by Lu Ming. The other party was a level 5 empty god realm expert and he must be rich. How could he miss such an opportunity? Retreat quickly. The three-eyed holy tribe elders were frightened when they saw one of their own being killed. They did not dare to fight and retreated quickly. Chapter 2608. However, Lu Ming and the others would not let them off so easily. Lu Ming and the other experts from the righteous army worked together to hold back the three elders from the three-eyed divine tribe. Ball, smash. Lu Ming stared intently at the elder from the three-eyed race, calling for Qiu to smash his head and face. I'll fight you to the death. The three-eyed divine tribe elder roared as he slashed his war blade at Ball. A huge mouth full of sharp teeth suddenly appeared on Qiu's round body and bit down on the three-eyed old man's saber. Crack. A section of the three-eyed divine tribe elder's war blade was bitten off. The three-eyed divine tribe elder was dumbfounded. He was completely dumbfounded and his mind was in a mess. His war blade was a lower rank 5 divine weapon and was extremely hard. How could it be broken so easily? However, it had been bitten off by Ball. He was dumbfounded. At this moment, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and stabbed his spear through the three-eyed divine tribe elder's forehead, killing him instantly. With a wave of his hand, he kept the three-eyed divine tribe elder's storage ring. Crack. Qiu opened its mouth wide and swallowed the other party's saber in a few bites. Then it chewed with satisfaction, making crunching sounds. Even the experts from the righteous army were stunned. The other 2 experts from the Yuan Luo Palace seized the opportunity and rushed out of their encirclement. Retreat. At this moment, a voice rang out from the sky. It was a terrifying existence from the Yuan Luo Palace. The aura he emitted was shocking and unfathomable. Lu Ming estimated that he was a rank 9 empty god realm expert. However, the righteous army also had someone of such a level. The 2 of them had been fighting and now that they had separated, the Yuan Luo Palace gave the order to retreat. Swoosh. The experts from the Yuan Luo Palace retreated and turned into rays of light, disappearing without a trace. The righteous army did not chase after them. They understood that they should not chase after a cornered enemy. Moreover, their mission was to guard Qinjindao. The people of Yuan Luo Palace retreated. The righteous sky army counted the casualties and cleaned up the battlefield. Then they all returned to their cave residences. After a great battle, some people were injured and some people suffered heavy losses. All of them needed time to recover. Lu Ming also returned to the cave, then took out some divine crystals and began to recover. Activating the battle incantation to double one's combat strength consumed a lot of world energy and ruler's power. Half an hour later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. Then a black iron token appeared in his hand. It was the mission token. At this moment, the black iron token was emitting a faint glow. Lu Ming guessed that he had obtained it because he had killed an expert from the Origin Luo Hall. However, if he brought this token back, the people of the mission hall would probably be able to find out about Lu Ming's accomplishments and reward him accordingly. After putting away the token, Lu Ming took out a few more storage rings. These storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming after he killed his enemies. Among them there were 2 5th-level Void God Realm experts. Lu Ming was looking forward to it and began to count them. After counting, Lu Ming was grinning from ear to ear. There were a total of 60,000 divine crystals. In addition to the divine crystals from before, Lu Ming had close to 100,000 divine crystals on him. In addition, there were more than a dozen divine artifacts of various grades. The highest grade divine artifact was a low level 5 divine artifact. The others were all level 3 and level 4 divine artifacts. Together they were worth a lot. Lu Ming casually threw 2 low level 3 divine artifacts to Qiu to eat. Qiu grabbed them and ate them quickly. Lu Ming smiled and closed his eyes to cultivate. In his sea of consciousness, Jianghu's picture scroll opened and emitted a strong ruler's intent. Lu Ming calmed his heart and started to comprehend. He cultivated for 10 days. During these 10 days it was very peaceful. The Yuan Luo Palace did not attack. After finishing his cultivation, Lu Ming stood up. Where's Qiu? Lu Ming looked around and did not find any trace of Qiu. Lu Ming scanned the cave abode and soon he made a discovery. Other than the hole, the cave dwelling was sealed on all sides. It was made of special rocks from the ore vein and was extremely hard. But now there was a cave in the depths of the cave dwelling. Looking at the marks, it was clearly gnawed. There were teeth marks on both sides of the cave. Could this be gnawed by Qiu? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then his muscles and bones began to wriggle. Finally his entire body shrank and he rushed into the cave. The cave was very long. Lu Ming walked for a few thousand meters before he saw Qiu. Qiu was opening its mouth wide and gnawing on the surrounding rocks. The rocks here were actually the Qin gold or vein. The Qin gold ore mixed with the rocks and became extremely hard. Normally if one wanted to mine Qin gold they had to be extracted from the ore. The process was very complicated. However, Qiu directly swallowed the mineral vein in large mouthfuls. After a while it spat out some powder and impurities. This guy, could it be absorbing the Qin gold inside? How is that possible? Lu Ming was surprised. Qiu discovered Lu Ming and glanced at Lu Ming before continuing to eat. It ate at an extremely fast speed and soon, a huge cave had been created in this area. Lu Ming watched with interest. After eating for half a day, Qiu's body had swelled up. Then it stopped and rolled to the side like a rubber ball. It even burped and stopped moving. Obviously, it had eaten too much and was starting to digest it. This guy, Lu Ming smiled and did not care about it. After all, this ore vein was extremely huge. Qiu would not be discovered if it ate some secretly. Lu Ming returned to the cave dwelling and continued to cultivate. Occasionally, Lu Ming would walk out of the cave dwelling and ask about the situation outside. During this time, no one from the Yuan Luo Palace had come to attack Qinjindao. After a few more days, a piece of news came. The Yuan Luo Palace had sent out a large number of experts to attack the Seven Stars Island. Could the Yuan Luo Palace's real target be the Seven Stars Island? Was their previous attack on Qinjindao just a cover-up? Maybe they want to break through the Seven Stars Island and completely drive the Jingtian army out of northern Shang planet and monopolize it. Very likely. Many people were guessing. As time passed, the Yuan Luo Palace's attacks on the Seven Stars Island became more frequent. The pressure on the Seven Stars Island increased greatly and they started to transfer experts from the surrounding islands as reinforcements. Qinjindao originally had around 800 people guarding it. After 400 people were transferred, there were only 400 people left. Lu Ming was not transferred away and continued to guard Qinjindao. Soon Lu Ming arrived at Qinjindao. A month had passed since then. On this day, Lu Ming felt a wave of energy coming from the tunnel that Qiu had created. Lu Ming's figure flashed and charged into the tunnel. In the depths of the tunnel, Qiu had already created a huge underground space. Qiu had devoured a large amount of ore veins. At this moment, Qiu's body was emitting waves of light. It was about to level up again. Chapter 2609. Qiu was about to advance again. During this period of time, it had swallowed a large amount of Qinjin ore. Although Qinjin was not considered precious, it was in large quantities. Qiu had swallowed a huge hole in the underground space of this area. No one knew how much Qinjin it had swallowed. Light spread out from Qiu's surface. It swelled and shrunk for a while before stabilizing. Success. Lu Ming sensed that Qiu had reached the 4th level of the Void God realm. Even Lu Ming was shocked by this speed of improvement. When Wan Jingxing had obtained Qiu, it was only at the 1st level of the Void God realm. In just a few years, it had reached the 4th level of the Void God realm. It was not easy to advance in the Void God realm. It was not something a heavenly emperor realm could compare to. However, Qiu did not seem to have any bottlenecks. As long as it had precious metals, it could continue to advance. The primitive universe is really mysterious. There are even such creatures. However, the more abnormal they are, the better. Lu Ming was grinning from ear to ear. Qiu bounced a few times in the air and flew to Lu Ming's side. It shrunk rapidly and turned into a bracelet, wrapping around Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming smiled and was about to go out and ask for information. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly violent war drums sounded and even the cave residents shook. Enemy attack. A loud roar came from outside. Whoosh. Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed out of the cave residence. So many people. As soon as he rushed out of the cave residence, Lu Ming was shocked. In the sky above the ore vein, figures were flying and emitting powerful auras. The experts of the Yuan Luo Palace were all experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. This time, the number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace was shocking. There were at least 1,000 of them. And now, the righteous army had only left behind about 400 experts to guard the Qinjin ore vein. Kill. 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 The densely packed experts of the Yuan Luo Palace dove down and attacked the righteous army. Buff. Buff. Blood splattered everywhere. Immediately, a few experts of the righteous army were killed. There were too many people from the Yuan Luo Palace, almost 3 times the number of the righteous Sky Army. With 2 or 3 of them joining hands to deal with one person from the righteous Sky Army, the battle was completely one-sided and unstoppable. Kill. As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, 2 people attacked him. However, one of them was a level 3 Empty God Realm martial artist while the other was a level 4 Empty God Realm martial artist. Lu Ming was not afraid of them. Lu Ming directly rushed over. The meteor spear appeared in his hand and stabbed out. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 dazzling spear lights pierced out. Buff. The level 3 Empty God Realm expert was pierced by the spear radiance and died on the spot. Although the level 4 Empty God Realm expert managed to block the spear radiance, he was forced to retreat. So strong. The 4th level Ethereal God Realm existence was shocked. Previously, when he saw that Lu Ming was only at the Transformation Void Martial stage, he thought that he could easily kill him. He did not expect that he would kick an iron plate. Kill. After Lu Ming forced the 4th level Ethereal God Realm expert to retreat, he raised his spear and continued to attack. The long spear vibrated and spear radiance pierced out. The 4th level Ethereal God Realm expert tried his best to defend himself, but he was still unable to defeat Su Mo. He kept retreating and was in danger. That brat is still here. We must kill him. Kill. At this moment, not far away, a few people flew over and glared at Lu Ming. It's them. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. 2 of them were the level 5 Empty God Realm experts who had escaped from him and Qiu previously. This time, the 2 of them had brought 2 other experts to kill Lu Ming. The other 2 experts had terrifying auras and were stronger than the level 5 Empty God Realm experts. They were level 6 Empty God Realm experts. This brat is extremely talented. We must kill him. One of them stared at Lu Ming. Today he will definitely die. A level 6 Empty God Realm expert said. The 4 of them charged at Lu Ming with all their might. Before they arrived, they had already launched their attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take the attacks head-on and retreated rapidly. Where are you going? The 5 of them were in hot pursuit, closing in on Lu Ming at lightning speed. Qiu smash. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out. It turned into a huge metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters and smashed towards a level 5 Empty God Realm expert. Not good. The level 5 Empty God Realm expert knew how powerful Qiu was and retreated rapidly to avoid Qiu's attack. Be careful. This metal ball has the strength of a level 6 Empty God Realm expert. A level 5 Empty God Realm expert warned. It's alright. I will block this metal ball. You guys go and kill that brat. A level 6 Empty God Realm expert held a steel whip and charged towards Qiu. As he lashed out with the whip, the space whistled and the power was shocking. Qiu also smashed towards the expert. Boom. There was a terrifying explosion. As a result, the level 6 Empty God Realm expert spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated rapidly. Now that Qiu had advanced to level 4 Empty God Realm, its combat strength had increased tremendously. It was not something a level 6 Empty God Realm expert could compare with. How can this be? The other 3 experts' faces changed drastically as disbelief was written all over their faces. They originally wanted to kill Lu Ming and were not prepared for the metal ball. Boom. After injuring the level 6 Empty God Realm expert, Qiu smashed towards the 2 level 5 Empty God Realm experts. The 2 of them were not prepared at all and were hit directly. After 2 blood-curdling screams, they died on the spot. Not good. Retreat. The level 6 Empty God Realm expert's face changed drastically as he retreated rapidly and distanced himself from Qiu. Retreat, retreat. At this moment, a roar came from the sky. It was from a level 9 Empty God Realm expert from the Jingtian army. The Jingtian army was no match for Yuan Luo Hall. The difference in numbers was too great. Once they exchanged blows, many experts died. In just a short while, about 100 experts had died. You want to leave? Today none of you will leave. A cold voice sounded as several terrifying figures charged towards the level 9 Empty God Realm expert from the Jingtian army. Boom. The two sides collided. The figures from Yuanluo Hall were all level 9 empty God Realm experts. There were a total of 3 of them. 3 against 1. There was no suspense at all. In just a few moves, the Jingtian army expert let out an unwilling roar and was killed in the air. Kill, leave no one alive. A level 9 empty God Realm expert from Yuanluo Hall gave the order. Charge, charge out. Gather together and charge out. Someone from the Jingtian army roared. The remaining 300 or so people charged in one direction and gathered together. Qiu Qiu, let's go. Lu Ming waved his hand and called Qiu Qiu as he charged towards the group. Right now they could only survive if they worked together. Otherwise they would all die. Lu Ming and Qiu Qiu charged towards the Jingtian army. Kill that brat. You must kill him. The level 6 empty God Realm expert who had been injured by Qiu Qiu roared. His killing intent was like a blade. Whoosh. Then a terrifying blade light slashed towards Lu Ming. Baidu search 81 Chinese networko. No advertising message. Chapter 26:10. Lu Ming was just about to fly toward the righteous army when a terrifying saber light slashed at him. The saber light was deathly pale. Before it even arrived, Lu Ming's heart was already pounding and his hair stood on end. Danger, extreme danger. This was definitely the attack of an extremely terrifying existence. Their strength far surpassed the 6th level of the Void God Realm, and perhaps even the 7th level. A terrifying figure had set his eyes on Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming could only think of one thing. It was already too late to defend. At this moment, Qiu Qiu appeared on Lu Ming's left side and turned into a shield. Boom. The blade light slashed Qiu Qiu's body and directly pierced through the shield that Qiu Qiu had transformed into. However, Qiu Qiu had already absorbed the majority of the saber light's power. The remaining power was very limited, and its speed had greatly decreased. Lu Ming finally reacted. His meteor spear swept out and blocked that saber light. Qiu Qiu. Lu Ming's heart tightened. Qiu Qiu had been pierced through. Would it be alright? In the next moment, Lu Ming let out a sigh of relief. Qiu Qiu's body turned back into a ball. With a leap, it returned to Lu Ming's shoulder as if nothing had happened. This fellow is truly amazing. Lu Ming sighed inside. Then he increased his speed and charged toward the righteous army. There's such a treasure? Not far away, a silver-haired elder stared at Qiu Qiu with a blazing gaze. This silver-haired elder held a silver saber in his hand. That saber attack just now had been unleashed by him. With a swift movement, he dashed toward Lu Ming at high speed. At this time, Lu Ming had already met up with the righteous army. Nearly 300 people had gathered together. They were like a sharp saber as they charged forward with all their strength. Kill, kill, kill. Around them, more than 1,000 people from the Yuanluo Palace surrounded Lu Ming and the rest, attacking them continuously. Terrifying attacks were launched at them. Lu Ming was also in the crowd, brandishing his spear to block the attacks. Brat, die. That silver-haired elder stared at Lu Ming and continuously slashed his saber at Lu Ming. Luckily, Qiu Qiu had turned into a shield and protected Lu Ming's vitals. This was how he was able to block the opponent's attacks. Otherwise, Lu Ming would have been in danger. Charge, charge, charge. The righteous army charged forward with their lives. Some people had even burned their divine power. Although the righteous army's people continued to die in battle, it was effective. After a while, they finally broke out of the encirclement and flew towards the ocean. Don't chase, that matter is more important. A 9th level Kayakia 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 Kayu, it should be here. Kukiyukwikwikyukyu's group. A level 9 empty God Realm expert instructed. Over 1,000 people from the Yuanluo Palace gathered and attacked at the same time. One attack after another was directed at Qinjinghuang. The Qin gold mine exploded and shattered rocks flew everywhere. A large amount of the mine was sent flying and scattered everywhere. However, the people from the Yuanluo Palace did not even look at it. Their target did not seem to be the Qin gold mine. Lu Ming and the others flew at top speed. They only slowed down when they realized that the people from the Yuanluo Palace were not chasing after them. Damn it! Damn it! Many people roared. This time they had suffered a great loss. Out of more than 400 people, only about 200 were left. It was a great loss. This time, they did not expect that the Yuanluo Palace would suddenly mobilize such a strong force to attack the Qinjinghuang vein when they were initially concentrating on attacking the Seven Stars Island. Send the news to the Seven Stars Island. We must take revenge. Someone gritted his teeth and sent the news to the Seven Stars Island. Boom. At this moment, a beam of light shot up into the sky and pierced through the clouds. That is, everyone looked in that direction in shock. That direction was clearly the direction of the Qin gold mine. It's the Qin gold mine. What's going on? Someone was puzzled. Such a shocking phenomenon. We can see it clearly even from 100,000 miles away. There must be a rare treasure or an expert's cave or some ruins. Someone guessed. That must be it. I understand now. The Yuan Luo Palace must have received some information. Their original target was the Qin gold mine. The attack on the Seven Stars Island was just an illusion. Someone roared. Everyone was moved. Perhaps it was true. Perhaps the attack on the Seven Stars Island by the Yuan Luo Palace was just an illusion to confuse them. Not only could they restrain the forces on the Seven Stars Island, they could also lure away some experts from the Qin gold mine. Then the Yuan Luo Palace would gather their forces and take over the Qin gold mine. No, report this to the higher-ups, report it to the general. Someone immediately sent the news out with a message transmission jade talisman. Then they decided to send people to the Qin gold mine to investigate. At this moment the Qin gold mine had completely changed. The mine had disappeared and a cave entrance appeared under it. A beam of light shot out from the cave entrance and pierced the sky. It only disappeared after half an hour. A sky god's cave dwelling? Haha, there really is a sky god's cave dwelling. Quick, send the news to the palace master. A bulky man laughed wildly. The others were also full of smiles as their eyes flashed with a fiery light. A sky god's cave dwelling? It was a cave dwelling left behind by a sky god. It was simply unimaginable. The chaotic galaxy was vast and there were countless cultivators. There were also countless divine spirits that had reached the empty god realm. However, there were only a few who had reached the sky god realm in history. Now, the sky god that everyone knew was the pavilion master of the Cloud Peak Pavilion, the strongest force in the chaotic galaxy. That was the only known existence of the heavenly god realm in the chaotic star river. One could imagine how valuable a cave dwelling left behind by a sky god was. Even if the sky god had left some useless things in the cave dwelling, it would still be a supreme treasure to others. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace immediately spread the news. Not only did they inform the palace master of the Yuan Luo Palace, but they also gathered more experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. Not long after, groups of experts flew over from the sky. They were all experts of the Yuan Luo Palace. They had rushed over to increase the strength of this place. 100,000 miles away, there was also a group of people from the righteous army that had met up with Lu Ming's group. They had already spread the news and informed the other party of their location. What's going on? Someone from the righteous army asked. The Qin Jinghuang mine was ambushed by the Yuan Luo Palace. They sent out more than 1,000 empty gods and more than 200 of us were killed. Only these people escaped. Someone explained helplessly. Damn the Yuan Luo Palace. Someone from the righteous army roared. Why did the Yuan Luo Palace ambush the Qin Jinghuang mine? Someone asked. There should be a treasure on the Qin Jinghuang island. As soon as someone explained, a few figures flew over from afar. They were the people that had been sent to observe the Qin Jinghuang mine. A cave dwelling has appeared on the Qin Jinghuang mine. A large number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace have already gathered there. Someone who had gone to inquire about the news said. Chapter 26:11. What? Cave. So that's how it is. It must be the cave of an expert. The Yuan Luo Palace must be after this cave. They can forget about monopolizing it. We'll wait here for the general to arrive and kill our way back. Okay. The righteous army was shocked to hear that there was a cave of an expert in the Qin Jinghuang mine. They had excavated the Qin Jinghuang mine for so many years, but they hadn't found anything. Thus, the righteous sky army began to wait there. The Qin Jinghuang mine. You guys leave a group to guard the outside. The rest of you follow me in and explore. A burly old man ordered. Yes. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. They looked at the old man with respect in their eyes. This old man was a top expert of the Yuan Luo Palace, a terrifying true god expert. Every true god was a top expert in the Yuan Luo Palace. They ruled over a region and had the power to decide life and death. Under the old man's orders, the people of the Yuan Luo Palace left a group of people to guard the cave while the rest followed the old man into the cave. 100,000 miles away, Lu Ming and the others were waiting quietly. Lu Ming was also resting on the surface of the sea. Crack, crack, crack. Qiuqiu opened its mouth and bit with all its might. Its eyes stared in the direction of the Qinjinghuang mine. "What do you want to do?" Lu Ming asked. Crack, 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 crack. Qiuqiu's large mouth kept on biting as its teeth collided. It even extended a tentacle and pointed in the direction of the Qinjinghuang mine with a look of desire. "You want to go to the Qinjinghuang mine?" Lu Ming asked. Crack, crack. Qiuqiu's round body rolled a few times. "Okay, I'll go with you, but be careful," Lu Ming said after some thought. He was also curious and wanted to see what was going on with the cave of the Qinjinghuang mine. Qiuqiu turned into a bracelet and wore it on Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming didn't tell anyone else and headed for the Qinjinghuang mine alone. 100,000 miles was soon covered. So many experts. As they approached the Qin gold mine, Lu Ming discovered that there were at least a few thousand Yuan Luo Hall experts on the Qin Gold Island. With so many experts around, it's impossible for us to approach them head-on. What should we do? Right from the sea, Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he dove into the sea. He dove down to a depth of 1,000 meters and approached Qinjindao. No one from the Yuan Luo Palace was guarding the sea because the entire Qinjin Island was made up of Qin gold mines. They weren't worried about it. Soon Lu Ming arrived at the seabed of Qinjindao. At this point, Qiuqiu directly flew out, opened its mouth wide and bit at Qinjindao. Whoosh! Qiuqiu's speed was extremely fast. Soon, a large hole was bitten out of Qinjindao's body. Then it kept moving forward and soon a passageway appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Perhaps they could use this to enter Qinjindao's cave. Lu Ming looked delighted as he followed closely behind Qiuqiu. Crack, crack, crack. Qiuqiu's speed increased as it moved deeper into the island. Originally, Qinjindao's mines were extremely hard. Even an expert would find it difficult to dig a passageway. Moreover, it would cause a huge commotion and the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace on the island would discover it. However, Qiuqiu didn't make any noise as it swallowed the Qinjin mine. After an unknown period of time. "Qiuqiu, be careful. There's movement ahead," Lu Ming whispered. Because there were bursts of explosions ahead, as if a great battle was taking place. Qiuqiu slowed down a little. When it bit down on the mines it didn't make any noise. After a while the mines seemed to have been dug through and a gap appeared. Lu Ming looked outside through the gap and took in the scenery outside. There was a huge building outside that was built with a type of black rock. It was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it with a glance. At the front of the building there was a large door. At this moment a group of people was attacking the door. However, there was clearly a great formation on the door. Rays of light flashed and the group of people couldn't break the formation no matter how hard they tried. Especially one of the old men. His aura was extremely terrifying and gave off a terrifying feeling. Every move of his exploded with terrifying power that bombarded the great formation on the door. What a terrifying expert. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Even though there was still some distance between them, the aura emitted by the old man still made him fearful. The Yuan Luo Palace already has such a terrifying expert. This cave dwelling is definitely not small. Lu Ming thought. However, the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace couldn't break the great formation no matter how hard they tried. Damn it. The defensive power of this great formation is too strong. Even the surrounding walls have a great formation. It's impossible to break it open. Now, we can only wait for the palace master and the others to come and find a way to break it open. After attacking for a while, the old man stopped and said unhappily. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace were also helpless and could only stop and wait. "Qiuqiu, let's leave," Lu Ming whispered to Qiuqiu. Then Qiuqiu turned around and left the place. Then it approached the building. Not long after, the vein disappeared and a pitch-black wall blocked their path. This wall was the wall of the building. Lu Ming took out a divine weapon battle sword and slashed it on the wall. However, there wasn't a single mark. The stone of this wall is very special. It's sturdy and indestructible. There's also the power of the great formation on it. It's impossible to break it open. Looks like we can only stop here. Lu Ming sighed. This cave dwelling must be extraordinary if it could attract the Yuan Luo Palace. If they could sneak in and obtain some treasures they would definitely be rich. Lu Ming was also tempted. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do about it. At this moment, Qiuqiu opened its mouth and bit at the wall. Crack. A small piece of the wall was bitten off. This works. Lu Ming was tongue-tied. There was a great formation on the wall. Even that terrifying old man of the Yuan Luo Palace couldn't break it open. Yet Qiuqiu could bite it open. It had completely ignored the great formation. Now Lu Ming only had one thought. Qiuqiu's teeth were too good. Crack, crack. Qiuqiu bit with all its might. Although it wasn't biting fast and could only bite off a small piece each time, it would definitely bite through the wall and enter the building. Lu Ming waited expectantly. At this moment, more and more experts from the Yuanluo Palace had arrived at the Qin gold mine. And more experts from the Jingtian army had arrived 100,000 miles away. However, neither side made a move. They were also waiting for the arrival of the strongest experts from both sides. Baidu search Xing 81 Chinese Networko. No advertising message. Chapter 26:12. The headquarters of Yuanluo Hall was situated on a giant planet. There was a giant city on this planet. Two figures were discussing something in a great hall in the city. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked somewhat similar to Kang Long. He was the Yuanluo Hall master Kang Ji. The other was an elder with 3 eyes between his brows. He had long golden hair and was also from the 3-eyed race. He was of the same race as the foreign tribe's divine ancestor. This elder's status in Yuanluo Hall was not to be underestimated. He was a grand elder and was extremely powerful. He was on the same level as the Yuanluo Hall master. His name was Mo Kansas. The two of them were the strongest in Yuanluo Hall. A sky god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect there to be a sky god's cave dwelling on northern Shang planet. Elder Mo Kan of the 3-eyed race had a fiery look in his eyes. I thought it would at most be a true god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect it to be a sky god's cave dwelling. This is a great opportunity. The Yuanluo Hall master's eyes were also fiery. Hall master, I'm afraid that Fa Ming of the Righteous Army has also received the news. I'm afraid he will rush to northern Shang planet. This is troublesome. Mo Kan frowned. Fa Ming was the name of the ancestor of techniques. That ant from a minor thousand world. If we had known earlier, we would have killed him back then and there wouldn't be such trouble now. Murderous intent flashed in the Yuanluo Hall master's eyes when he mentioned the ancestor of techniques. Unfortunately, he has already matured. Even if the two of us join forces, we may not be able to kill him. Mo Kan said helplessly. When we obtain the treasures of the sky god's cave dwelling and our strength increases greatly, we will definitely kill him. Moreover, I already have a plan this time. That old man Fu Heng still owes me a favor. I have already sent him a message. He will delay Fa Ming for a while. The Yuanluo Hall master said. Hall master is wise. I am relieved with Fu Heng's help. Hall master, let us depart now. Mo Kan said joyfully. Let's go. The Yuanluo Hall master and Mo Kan led a group of Yuanluo Hall experts towards northern Shang planet. Righteous Army, Righteous Star. An expert's cave dwelling? Since the Yuanluo Palace has placed such importance on it, let's go take a look. Within a palace, the ancestor of techniques also received the news. He took a step forward and was about to head towards the teleportation portal to planet Northern Shang. Brother Fa Ming, where are you going in such a hurry? Right at this moment, an aged voice rang out, and a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. This figure was an old man with silver-white skin. Clearly he was not a human. The old man wore a long white robe. He stood above the clouds and smiled at the ancestor of techniques. Fu Heng. The ancestor of technique frowned and said, Fu Heng, what wind blew you to my righteous army? Brother Fa Ming, it's been tens of thousands of years since we last met. I'm here today to play a game of chess with you. Fu Heng smiled. You want to play chess with me? Another day. I'm not free today. The ancestor of law said. I can only play this game today. If it were any other day, I wouldn't be able to play this game. Fu Heng smiled and stepped forward. He arrived before the ancestor of technique and blocked his path. Kang Ji asked you to come? The ancestor of technique's expression darkened. Back then I owed him a huge favor. I have no choice but to repay this favor. Fu Heng sighed. It seems like the cave abode in planet Northern Shang is truly extraordinary. To think that Kang Ji would ask you to delay me so that I can't rush to planet Northern Shang. Given how smart the ancestor of technique was, he figured out everything after thinking about it. Brother Fa Ming, let's play another game. I'll leave once the game is over. Fu Heng smiled and waved his hand. A huge flag appeared in the void. The ancestor of technique frowned. Fu Heng was extremely powerful. If they really fought, he was not confident at all. In fact, there was a high chance that he would lose to the other party. Instantly, thoughts flashed through the ancestor of technique's mind. Alright, since you're so interested, let's play a game. The ancestor of technique was helpless as well. He sat cross-legged in the air, facing Fu Heng across the chessboard. At the same time he sent a message out, informing the people of the righteous army that before he arrived at planet Northern Shang, they were not to interfere no matter what happened. Then he began to play chess with Fu Heng. Planet Northern Shang, Qinjinghuang Vane. The Yuan Luo Hall Master, Kang Ji and the others arrived. Greetings, Hall Master. The true Immortal Realm Elder from before and the others from the Yuan Luo Hall bowed. How is it? Have you all investigated this cave abode? The Yuan Luo Hall Master asked. Hall Master, we've already investigated it. However, there's a powerful defensive formation outside the cave abode. I can't break it with my cultivation. I'm afraid that we'll need the help of the Hall Master and the Grand Elder to break it. The true Immortal Realm Elder reported. It's expected that there's a great formation. Let's go. The Yuan Luo Hall Master led a group of experts into the cave abode and arrived before the door of the building. Boom. The Yuan Luo Hall Master attacked right away. A terrifying attack blasted at the door. Rays of light immediately flickered on the door, blocking the attack of the Yuan Luo Hall Master. Boom. With a violent explosion, the great formation of the door shook violently. The strength of the Yuan Luo Hall Master was much stronger than the true Immortal Realm Elder. The true Immortal Realm Elder was only at the first level True Immortal Realm, while the Yuan Luo Hall Master had already reached the fourth level True Immortal Realm. It's effective. The Hall Master is so powerful. The eyes of the others from the Yuan Luo Hall lit up as they flattered the Hall Master. Let's attack together and break the great formation as soon as possible. The Yuan Luo Hall Master ordered. Then the experts of the Yuan Luo Hall attacked together. However, this great formation was indeed very sturdy. Even if their attacks were effective, they couldn't break it in a short period of time. They needed to slowly grind away the energy of the great formation before they could break it. It would take a long time. On the other side, Ball was still biting the wall. At this moment, a huge hole had been bitten into the wall. It was at least a meter deep. This wall is really sturdy. Lu Ming was also speechless. Now he could only wait patiently. With his cultivation, there was nothing he could do to help. Just like that, a day passed. The wall had already been bitten 3 meters deep by Ball. Crack. With Ball's bite, the wall was finally bitten through. It's done. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Crack. Crack. Ball also became spirited and bit harder. Soon, a hole appeared and the wall was completely broken through. On the other side, dim light came from the other side. Lu Ming's body shrunk and rushed into the hole in the wall. In the next moment he appeared in a passageway. This passageway was surrounded by pitch-black walls. They had directly dug through the wall in the middle of the passageway. Lu Ming identified the direction and then strode into the depths of the passageway. Baidu searching 81 Chinese network. No advertising message. Chapter 26:13. The passage was a few hundred meters long. After walking through the passage, Lu Ming found a courtyard. It turned out that the passage just now was just a small path on the side. This was the main courtyard. Boom. Boom. A series of explosions came from outside the courtyard. It was obvious that the entrance of the building was outside the courtyard. The Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others were attacking the formation of the entrance. They would never have thought that before they could break the formation of the entrance, someone had already entered the building. I have to speed up. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he went into the courtyard. There was a large hall in the courtyard. Lu Ming immediately looked around. The large hall was empty and there was nothing. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. However, there was an inner hall after the large hall. Lu Ming walked into the inner hall. The inner hall was a little messy and there was a huge platform. Lu Ming looked carefully and recognized that this platform should be used to forge weapons. Some materials were casually piled up in the corners. Crunch. Crunch. Qiu had already started eating. It stretched out 2 tentacles and grabbed the materials and started eating. This is star silver, black sky gold. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered 2 types of extremely precious refining materials. Star silver and black sky gold were both materials that could be used to forge middle-grade divine artifacts. They were very precious. Wait. Lu Ming rushed over and quickly grabbed the star silver and black sky gold in his hands and put them away. These were only the materials that Lu Ming knew. There were many others that Lu Ming didn't know. They probably weren't of low grades. Lu Ming and Qiu swept these materials away like a whirlwind. Crunch. Crunch. Qiuqiu glared at Lu Ming, as if saying that Lu Ming had snatched its food. These materials aren't cheap. Take them out and exchange them for something else. Lu Ming chuckled. Forging materials that could be used to forge middle-grade divine artifacts were definitely priceless. However, other than these materials they did not find anything else of value. Lu Ming speculated that this should really be the cave residence of a powerhouse. That powerhouse was refining tools here, and some of the materials that he didn't need were left in the corner. These were the materials that Lu Ming had collected before. However, the item that the expert didn't care about was still shockingly valuable to others. Lu Ming looked around happily but didn't find anything else. Lu Ming left the inner hall and returned to the outer hall. He discovered that there was a corridor at the side of the outer hall. Following the corridor, he arrived at another courtyard. In front of the courtyard there was a tall building. However, the entrance to the courtyard was closed. There was also a grand array on the entrance. Lu Ming tried and realized that he couldn't enter at all. He was blocked by the array. Looks like we have to take a detour again. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then went back the way he had come. He arrived at the side passage and exited through the opening Qiuqiu had bitten open. How can I block this opening? Lu Ming pondered. Later, if Yuan Luo Hall Master and the others broke through the array and entered, they would probably find this opening. Qiuqiu seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts. It opened its mouth and spat out a sticky black liquid that looked like a black liquid metal. The black liquid metal poured into the opening and rapidly solidified, completely blocking the opening. Lu Ming was a little dazed. He speculated that this black liquid metal was the impurities that Qiuqiu had eaten. Anyway, the opening was blocked. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Then, Qiuqiu continued to gnaw on the Qinjingquang vein and went inside the building. Estimating that it had passed the entrance, Qiuqiu began to bite the black wall again. A few days later, Qiuqiu bit through the wall. Lu Ming entered through the opening and found that he had entered the building behind the entrance. There were secret rooms here. Lu Ming began to search. At first, several secret rooms were empty. He did not discover anything until he came to the largest secret room. There were several shelves placed around the room, and on the shelves there were some jade bottles. Godly pills. Lu Ming's eyes glittered. Godly pills were the most useful for martial gods. There were actually some godly pills here. Lu Ming picked up a jade bottle and saw runes carved on it. These runes were used to seal the bottle to prevent the pills from leaking out. However, many years had passed, thus the power of the seal had weakened. Lu Ming soon broke the seal with the Tao of Ruler. He then opened the jade bottle. A strong medicinal fragrance immediately filled the air. There are more pills. Lu Ming was overjoyed. However, Lu Ming had no idea what the pills in the jade bottle were called, nor what they were used for. Lu Ming knew nothing about the pills. Screw it, I'll put them away first. I'll identify them later. With a wave of his hands, Lu Ming put away all the jade bottles. There were more than 50 jade bottles. After putting them away, Lu Ming inspected the secret room. There was a dark mark at the center of the room. This must be a secret room used to refine pills. The mark at the center must be where the cauldron was placed. Lu Ming speculated. Even though Lu Ming was not familiar with godly pills, he was an expert in pill alchemy in the heaven realm, thus he was familiar with the steps of refining pills. He was able to deduce many things by observing the layout of the secret room. It was obvious that this was a secret room used to refine pills, but the owner of the room had left with the cauldron and most of the pills. Perhaps some of the pills that were not important to the owner of the cave had been left behind. They were the pills that Lu Ming had found before. However, the owner of the cave was probably not to be underestimated. Even if the owner of the cave didn't like them, it didn't mean that Lu Ming didn't like them. After walking out of the secret room, Lu Ming began to search again. Then he found a passage. However, this passage was also set up with a formation, so Lu Ming couldn't pass through it at all. This cave is really big. There are more inside. Let's continue. Lu Ming was full of smiles. This cave had obviously been abandoned by its owner. Almost all the good things had been taken away, but even if there were some left behind that were not important to the owner of the cave, they were still precious treasures. Lu Ming went out through the hole they came in from. Qiuqiu repeated the same trick and spat out liquid metal to block the hole. Then they continued to dig deeper into the cave. After walking for a while, Qiuqiu continued to bite a hole in the stone wall, and Lu Ming entered. This time the place they entered was a little special. They seemed to have entered a passage. The passage was very large, at least 100 meters in diameter, and there were smooth walls on all sides. In front of the passage it was pitch black and they didn't know where it led to. Lu Ming muttered to himself for a moment, and then walked along the passage. Hoo-hoo! Suddenly there was a terrifying whistling sound in the passage. Then there was a strong suction force in the passage and Lu Ming was sucked in. Baidu searching 81 Chinese Networko. No advertising message. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.